Okay. Donna? Check his mic cord.
Which one?
This one. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hmm.
We'll change the.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No.
Well, it's probably not that one. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Go ahead.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's working this morning.
You sure?
It's the one I used. I plugged this one in from that one. This one's working.
Well, did you check that one?
I did, because I used it this morning.
Okay. Well.
Try it now.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
1, 2, 3. Good.
No.
No, no good.
Need another microphone.
Okay. Hi, dog, Hannah. Yeah, beautiful dog. How old is she? 5?
About 10 or 11.
Wow, you're a big girl.
One, two, three. Oh, it's working now. One, two, three. One, one. Okay, try it.
1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. I guess that's the same.
Do you have one in your new case?
One, one, one. Maybe the wire. Is that the wire from the thing? From the summit? 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
I don't know because 2 things. The email to Israeli embassy and the collection between Kushner and FBI.
What about it?
The Kushner and FBI don't discuss the connection between Kushner and FBI and the email to Israeli embassy. That don't discuss this.
I ain't know what you're talking about. You're saying
Okay,
I read it.
good. All right, so you read it. Okay.
The thing is, if you say don't discuss, then his question is why. Remember the whys.
Because the first one is President knows about it, and obviously he doesn't want to have people know about it. So I don't know.
Know about what?
The Kushner and FBI, how to say it,
Why wouldn't you say that?
obviously he doesn't want to have his family business up.
Well, of course they don't want you to say it. What the hell do you think you're here for? There's a
No,
shitload
no,
of you they don't want to say.
No, I don't. I
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
I want to give him the respect. It's his family business. I don't want to go there. And the Israeli, because they have.
Yeah, you're gonna go wherever it goes, man. You freaking this is see. This is the one thing I can't because I don't allow myself to filter what is and isn't discussed. I mean, it goes where it goes. Wait, we can't. Sorry, audience, we can't talk about.
No,
that.
that's why I say there's certain things over there that touch Kushner just don't go there. It's a very small thing. And the last one is.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead and test it.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, again.
1, 2, 3.
What is the problem, Donna? Don't like your voice. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Does it work for you?
1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. What the hell? Here, I need you here.
How long have you been in America?
Test 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. God damn. Okay, unplug this.
I was in Russia a few years after that. So we must have passed each other on the airplane.
1 1 1.
We've been hacked, Ernie. Putin knows he's here. Hey, did you ever see that epic rap battles of history about Russia? Epic rap battles of history? You never seen that?
1 1 1.
I don't even wish my
Here. Ernie does that. Oh, geez, I don't have a speaker.
Test 1 2 3 4 5.
1 2 3.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, which one are you on, Frank?
It's like 6.
1 2 3.
Okay, go ahead, Frank.
Testing 1 2 3. Hillary for president. Hillary. Hillary 1 2 3.
1 2
1,
3.
2, 3,
1 2
4.
3. Okay, now you go ahead and try, Bor.
1 2 3 testing.
Okay. Okay, Frank again.
Testing 1 2. 1 2 3. Each Nissan.
Okay, what I'm going to do is because you guys are close, have them separate. Move him over here because I need those mics, you know, kind of going in opposite directions so they don't bleed over as much. Get another towel for Frank. Double up on that towel for or
We can push those over here. Check this out. You like this? We probably should end the show on this.
Oh, I don't push those.
Let's watch.
what is it?
Rasputin.
We should start off with this.
So
Let's start off. It's about Russia. Let's start off with this. Epic rap battles history, Russia. Just put epic rap battles history, and this would be perfect to start off with. Because guess who's at the end of it?
All right, guys, we're going to start recording here in a little bit, but we're getting mics ready and stuff. I just want to get you guys on. We'll be out. We'll be going in here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Frank wants me to pull up something.
Yeah, it'll be 3 minutes is a good intro.
All right. What is it?
Epic
Video
rap
streaming,
battles,
FYI,
Russia.
okay?
Okay.
Sounds you have
Oh,
better.
I'm gonna be on a video.
Well, the pictures will be.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it.
Wow.
Heck, you can see the video from there? There it is. Here.
See, this right here is what's going out. These are
I'm very unphotogenic.
well, we're not showing you. Okay,
Oh, okay, good.
these are the
Pull up some
pictures.
pictures and
Oh, okay.
Trump.
I see. Okay, I got it. All right, that's fine. Okay. Thank you.
They did it.
There's one where there are China, Russia, and U.S. doing rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, you go. So this actually has millions of views, and you'll get a kick. Here's the video.
All right. Definitely a Frank thing.
Oh, you'll. It's pretty. It's
All right. Well, I'm not gonna do intros then.
all right. To make sure you can watch this too.
That's difficult.
Well, you can see it there.
You see it there?
Okay. Let me see. All right. All right. We're gonna start the show. Here we go, guys.
Cool mustache, Wario. Try messing with the man monk, you'll be sorry. Oh, how many dictators does it take to turn an empire into a union to ruin its states? It's a disgrace what you did to your own people. Your daddy beat you like a dog and now you're evil. You're from Georgia, sweet Georgia, and history books unfold ya as a messed up motherfucker bit in the mind. Built a superpower, but it paid the price with the endless destruction of Russian lies. You're a man of steel, I spit kryptonite. Big dick mystic, known to hypnotize. I can end you with a whisper to your eyes. Look into my eyes, you perverted witch. See the soul of the man who made Mother Russia his bitch. You think I give a fuck about my wife? My own son got locked up in prison, and I didn't save his life. You got up easy when they pickled that goose cock. I'd leave your neck in a noose in a trench and shot. Your whole family shot. All your wizard friends shot. Anyone who sold you pierogi shot. Starving for days so you waste away. I even crushed motherfuckers when I'm laying in state. Kind of let it took Trotsky out of the picture. Dropped the hammer on you harder than I bitch slapped Hitler. I have no pride for you who ruined everything my revolution was doing to stop the bourgeoisie. I fought the bondage of classes, the proletariat masses, that brought me here to spit a thesis against both of your asses. Let me start with you there, Frankenstein, looking like something out of R.L. Stein. It's hip-hop chowder, red of a wine. This is odds, so I can't do shit tonight. Joseph, you were supposed to be my right-hand man, but your loyalty shriveled up like your right-hand man. My whole future was bright. You let your heart grow dark and stop the greatest revolution since the birth of Marx.
Knock, 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 knock. Did somebody say Marx?
Yo, I'm the host with the most glass nose. Assholes made a mess and the war got cold. Shook hands with both Ronalds, Reagan and McDonald's, no doubt. If your name end with in, time to get out. I had the balls to let Baryshnikov, dance player, go down that wall like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah! You two need yoga. You need a shower. And you all need to learn how to handle real power.
Did somebody say real power? Dad, you want to mess with me? I spit hard bars when I'm crushing these beats. Blow it up like a tuba while I'm balling in Cuba, doing judo moves and schooling every communist suka. I'm a president, my pride, my enemy, don't distract me. The last man who attacked me, let the half-life to contract come at me. You don't know what you're doing when you try to boss around because I'm out like pudding. You find that the XKGB is the best MC in the FCCCP.
Okay, that's Frank. Okay.
Yeah. That's the epic rap battles of history, the history of modern Russia over the last 100 years. And for those of you that follow Epic Rap Battles, which is an extremely popular podcast, you can learn quite a bit about history, and especially with Russian history, if you're unfamiliar with it, check it out in slow motion. All right, Ernie, here we go.
Okay, this is what's going on. We have a listener and a reader of Freedom's Phoenix contacted me, and he said, you need to talk to this guy. And I go, okay, why? You know, because you need to talk to him. He has a view of Putin's Russia and how it impacts the United States, and I'll show you. This is how much research there is. Okay, emails back and forth, text and I looked at this much. Okay, so this is I'm going. Look, anybody can have an opinion. So here's John. We'll get his whatever background he's willing to share. He's concerned about a lot of things, and I'm going, okay. Well, we'll go ahead and just have you come on. He thinks it should be a book. He thinks somebody should help him write. He thinks somebody should give him some money to be able to get this published. And it's just so I'm going, all right. If it's that important, and you think that it is weighs on America's future, well, come explain it to us. Now, Donna has all of these documents ready to publish. We can push the button and boom, it goes up, and she would have done it, but it's full of his phone number and stuff on here. But she's not going to go through and be your secretary. You want this done, you do it, and then we'll publish it. But I'm telling you,
the phone numbers is fine.
Yes, no?
Yeah, you can publish.
Okay, Donna, publish. Where is she at? All right, go ahead and put it up, get it ready to go, and put it up. Because this kind of thing is, you don't put this stuff up, and you talk about it, this is how you get dead. This is how I get dead. I don't get dead. Okay? So this is what happens is everything you know as you know it. So they got to take out all the audience. And they'll know if you're listening. Okay? They know you're listening. So get over it. So this is, I wanted Frank in here to help me with this. And Frank's been out moving and stuff. You good now?
Yeah, we're done.
All right, good. Yeah, he's got all taken care of. We'll talk about that later. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and the first question, I got a bunch of whys in me. Because there's who, what, when, how, all this kind of stuff. But I'm like, why? So I need to know, Boris Gelfand, why are you doing this? And then we'll get into some of your history, what you know, how you know it. And so tell me everything. Why are you so adamant about having this work published and what you think you know?
I believe it is important for the people in the United States to understand a broader picture of a coup that origins I first disclosed on November 16 of 2016. Once I disclosed the origin of that coup, three things had happened.
Okay, now wait, this is right after the election.
Yes.
Okay, so Trump's elected, and then you go, look, man, there's a coup coming, and they're going to do somebody's something. Why?
This information.
Okay, whoa.
Well, I can tell you why.
Okay, well,
I know why.
I'm like, how you got? See, this is like, it's another. I got another conspiracy here, and I need to know. I don't mind having conspiracies. Hell, most conspiracies I ever heard of wound up being true. But I'm going. All right. So, but what I do need to know is that there's a timing here. It's right after Trump gets elected. You have information, and how that information came in your possession, we're not supposed to know.
Well, it's very easy. I'm a man of faith. I believe that God protects me.
Okay, which
but
faith?
I don't. I'm an Orthodox Jew.
Orthodox Jew. Okay.
Yes, but I don't want my Maker to be occupied my entire life for protecting me. Because if I tell you how I got to that information, a lot of people are going to die, and I don't want that to happen, including myself. Fair enough?
Okay, fair enough. But this information came to you, I don't know, carrier pigeon? I mean, on the internet,
whatever
people you know somewhere?
It makes no difference how I got the information.
Okay.
What makes a
now
difference
let's talk
what's
about what
in it.
information you got.
Okay, so what information I got is that there was a coup in place, and that coup started not in November of 2016. It started about a year prior to it, and the coup was to make sure that Trump will not be elected by the electors should he win the nomination.
Okay, so you mean the presidential electors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I want the people in the United States to know that there is a Russian hand there, that there is Putin's hand there, that the whole coup was not idea of Comey or Brennan or even Clapper. The whole coup was idea of Putin, and it was the operation that was carried out in order to destabilize in part the situation in the world and destabilize the situation in the United States. And I alerted of that on my November 16 communication
With
at 8
who?
p.m. I don't have to send it to anybody. All I had to do is to send a text to myself. Earlier in 2000,
The NSA, I just text myself and they know everything.
well, if you walk into the
Hey man, I'm not laughing, because
Okay.
I don't agree. Okay.
okay, no, I
just
understand.
ironic.
But I made sure that my texts to anybody, including myself, going to be very seriously analyzed by the American intelligence by working in the office of Associated Press and talking to Mr. Griggs, who happened to be at the time the head of security and
Head of security of what?
head of security of Associated Press.
Okay.
And I have disclosed to him my knowledge of Obama bin Laden capture and subsequent transfer to Afghanistan, and then from Afghanistan to Libya, to Benghazi. And
Oh no, he said Benghazi, Frank. You're all over it, man.
okay, and subsequent Russians intelligence operation to still Osama bin Laden from CIA using Stevens, and subsequent Patreus involvement in botched operation to eliminate double agent Stevens, who delivered bin Laden to Russians. I have talked to him about the Snowden disclosures and how those disclosures was used by Putin to blackmail the administration. I had talked to him about the operation to install the leftist Pope and blackmailing Pope Benedict to resign. I have talked to him about the operation to push the Obamacare and blackmailing Justice Stevenson, and a lot of other things that after 3 conversations that happened on a period of time of 1 week, when I was done talking to Mr. Griggs, I was absolutely sure that from that point on, all my conversations, my texts, my emails, going to be seriously analyzed by somebody in the high powers of American intelligence. So when I texted that November 16 text to myself, many things happen, but 3 most important things that happen is head of National Intelligence Clapper had wrote a resignation letter. He had appeared in an unscheduled appearance in a Congress to give his resignation, using the phrase "it has been fun." I think I forgot the phrase, but within 2 hours of my text, Admiral Rogers had contacted President Trump, jumped a plane, and went on over to meet President Trump.
Okay, you got to make sure everybody knows who you're talking about. Now, Admiral Rogers was head of the NSA at the time or something,
he
right?
was head of
And
NSA.
the way I got it was that Rogers was the one that goes, man, they are surveilling the crap out of you. You need to know this. So he goes to Trump and his transition team
Yes.
and tells him this.
Yes.
Okay, what do you know about that?
Well, I was the reason he did it. He looked at my text, he realized that the whole thing is going to be pretty much discovered, and sooner or later, people's going to go to jail.
Okay, so in the beginning of this, you have whatever information. Texting yourself was an intentional act, thinking that you know that they were going to see it and know that you know
Yes.
what you know, that they
Yes.
know you know.
But it's not just that I know. There's obvious questions.
Okay, why would
what is
they care
gonna-
about you? I mean, I don't need to know, your what spies you slept with, but
They don't care about me. What they care is somebody is running a counter operation, and they need.
So there was enough information in this text that they, because people text themselves a lot, man. I'm just like, some keywords are in here. If it was generated from your text that made some move, or at least got you to go, yeah, that was kind of what okay. So I'm wondering what keywords you would put in there to bring it to their level of attention.
Well, the text is pretty much all the text is keywords. It started with the August of August of 1990, when Kruchina, the head of Communist Party, jumped out of a building, and along with him, the head accounting of Communist Party of Soviet Union jumped out of a building, and then along with him disappeared 10 billions of Communist Party money. And then a year later, somehow Soros tanked the Bank of England with 10 billions of somebody's money that nobody knows whose money is. So I gave the prelude of what happened, how
the chronology
of how Putin had get his hands on the most secretive United States intelligence applications, and how he used those applications.
These FISA warrant things.
Not FISA warrants.
What do you mean applications?
No. Putin had the hands on all the NSA programs like PRISM and others, the surveillance programs. And when Snowden first gave an interview to a Hong Kong newspaper, he said, "How come as a man in my position have no problem with opening a President of United States email?" His message was, "I know you're going to try to kill me, please don't do it, because if you do, all the President Obama's emails going to become public." So all those emails Putin had, not just Obama, he had emails on everybody. Putin has enough blackmail files to control United States politics for at least another 5-6 years. That's at least. There is not a person of a stature in the United States, from a politician, senator, judge, to a movie star, and anybody in between, whom Putin doesn't have a blackmail file on. So I gave, in this text, in a very short text, I gave the A's and B's of the operation.
So it wound up on somebody's desk.
Yes. So once that happened, the other thing was that Secretary Kerry...
Now, wait a minute. You did this intentionally because you knew that would happen.
Yes, I knew that would happen, yes. Well, the same thing, I knew that Putin's going to read my text, because a year later I have texted myself certain things that make President of Russian Federation disappear from a public view for 10 days. For 10 days, there was rumors that somebody killed him, that there is a coup in Moscow or anything. For 10 days, President of Russian Federation Putin was coming, for the first 3 days he was calming himself down, and for the next 7 days he was accessing every letter of my text to figure out how I was getting the information that only 10 people in the world knew. The result of his 10 days disappearance was a massive purge in a Russian intelligence, including the head of GRU and the head of GRU Spetsnaz, Shukshin.
Okay, GRU, what is that?
It's a Russian military intelligence.
All right. You got to say all this stuff, okay?
Okay.
You're good. You talk like military or a doctor or something. I'm talking with Dr. Frank here. I get all kinds of initials all the time. Okay. So go ahead and, it's military intelligence in Russia.
Of Russia. So when I texted, as I said, Clapper, Rogers, Secretary Kerry jumped a plane and went to Lima. On the 17th, he was in Lima. And the APEC conference only starts at 19th. The Minister of International Affairs of Russian Federation, Lavrov, also was in Lima on the 17th. As far as I know, that's the only time when both Secretary of State of United States and Minister of International Affairs of Russian Federation was in a very nonchalant, not very important conference 2 days prior that conference started. That's an unbelievable amount of waste of time for those two figures. On December 12th, I texted something, and the result of my text was a telephone call made by Mr. Klopper to Mr. Stroke. That telephone call was made literally within 30 minutes after my text. Klopper calling Stroke is something that so far nobody was able to explain, because it's like a marshal calling a lieutenant without going the chain of command. So the reason Mr. Klopper called Mr. Stroke, because he lost it. In 2 words, he said, "Bitch, you're head of counterintelligence. You need to tell me how the heck this guy knows what I'm talking about in a real lifetime. And I know who is fitting in the information." That was pretty much the conversation him and Peter Stroke had. There was many other texts. Every time that they was trying to make a move, I was countered it. The most recent one with this impeachment, I had pretty much advised the Trump administration of importance of Ukraine and importance of Zelensky, because a lot of things happened there. I had warned of an attempt assassination on President of Ukraine Zelensky, and within 12 hours of my warning, that attempt was thwarted in Ukraine. There was pretty much almost no news about it. I think it was just one little internet mention that there was group of heavily armed commandos who was arrested within half a mile of Zelensky's property, going into his property. When all these things with the impeachment was going on, the whistleblower was writing his report, I have taken certain steps to warn the administration, and you can see that on the September 1st, I believe, on September 1st, I wrote about there is going to be an impeachment proceeding. I don't think that on September 1st, anybody except for a few people even knew that that whistleblower complaint was in a process of submitting to the House Intelligence Committee on Intelligence, House Committee on the Special Committee on Intelligence. My texts in August 8.
Okay, now these texts are not short. You know, these are like emails done in text to yourself. Sometimes they're paragraphs long or a page long. You know, this is detailed. This is just a document.
Yes.
You know what you know.
Yes.
Now, you were receiving this information live all at once from a lifetime of understanding. You know somebody. Are you reading Russian newspapers? You know.
I'm sorry, I can't go there.
Okay. So, all right. So you are receiving this information in some way.
I am receiving this information in some way, yes.
Okay. And from the information, you're going, yeah, I need to text myself this, and this to let, this is the mechanism. Texting yourself was the mechanism of communicating with the U.S. government.
Not only. I had sent many emails to FBI, to the House Committee on Intelligence when Nunes was there, to Horowitz, to Mr. Barr. And I believe that a lot of the tips that I had sent are resulting now in the investigations that the Justice Department is going with right now.
Okay, now what Donna is doing, she's putting it up now, right, Donna?
It's already up.
Okay, it's up. You go into the podcast, Donna's got it going on. Let me go ahead and check here, and I'll show you guys. Because this is stuff, you know, that's dated. It's easy to find out whether, this is going to be, useful or not. So let me go ahead and go into the story here, go into the archive. You got any questions? Are you going to let them just monologue, or you got some other questions, Frank?
Oh, I will.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Okay, now here are the documents. The text PDFs, you go in, boom, there they are. Adonis printed them out. I got hard copies of this. We're looking at, stuff. Let me see. Let's make sure it opens. There we go. Open. So this is one of the benefits of Freedom's Phoenix and Declare and what we do, is that these documents we can put on our own servers, and then it goes IPFS, and then it's there forever. So once we did this, boom. Okay, now you got to take out a bunch of servers and 5,000 of my closest friends. So this is Donna. Make sure the PDF is opening. It looks like it's opening. I guess it's just big. Is it downloading? Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go. So this is what. All right, it's got his phone number up there.
That's okay.
That's me. Okay. And it's detailed. So-and-so was killed on this date doing this. Soros did this with the Bank of England. Then Soros is doing that. Then NSA did that. So-and-so talked to this guy. Boom, 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 boom. And as you put it in a numbered sequence like this in a chronology, and you were doing this how often? Daily? Every week? When you felt like it? What?
I was doing it as often as the situation was dictating.
So you went no more than a week or so between?
No, it's sometimes it's next day, sometimes it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay, so it's regularly.
It's regularly. Yes.
Regularly. So this is information. So by November 16 of 16, you were, you're rocking and rolling and whatnot. Now, when did you start doing this texting to yourself? This was 11/16 was the first one?
No, I have texted certain things that would make Mr. Putin have his attention to.
Okay,
what
why did you want his attention? Or was it to him, or was it for the U.S.
No, it was to
intelligence?
him. I wanted the attention of both, of all the players. If you look, I've described it in the prelude to my book. I was trying to, well, I wasn't trying, I actually opened the one-way channel of communication to the government, to the intelligence community of the United States, and to intelligence community of Russia. So knowing that...
So to what end? To try and stop something?
Yes, trying to stop something, yes.
Okay. So this is, and what were you trying to stop?
Mr. Putin is obsessed with the world domination, and he needed somebody like Obama, either Obama himself or Clinton, in the office for at least 2 more years to secure his operation by recruiting the President of the United States as a Russian asset. And I'm talking about Mr. Obama, not Mr. Trump. Through the Snowden communications, Mr. Putin successfully achieved the United States administration as a puppet into his plans of world domination. Every time Mr. Snowden was coming with some disclosure, there was a hidden message in that disclosure. For example, the disclosure that NSA was monitoring Vatican was, Putin was saying, if you're not going to let Iran think, go one step further to the Iran deal, Iran nuclear deal, then the world will know that you guys installed the leftist pope in order to control the electorate in the United States. The disclosure that Mr. Snowden said about Osama bin Laden capture been videotaped by NSA from the satellites, and the American intelligence having a DNA that is indisputably proved that it in fact was Osama bin Laden, was talking about if there is going to be one bullet over Damascus tomorrow because Putin pushed Assad to use chemical weapons, Putin told Assad, go ahead, use chemical weapons. Make sure that Israeli will intercept the conversation between your brother and the Syrian command of use of the chemical weapons. And when Assad said to Putin, they're going to destroy me, Putin said, don't worry, I'm behind you. So when that happened, and that's no disclosure that Osama bin Laden was videotaped, Putin was saying one bullet over Damascus, and that videotape of Osama bin Laden taken to that helicopter alive is going to be played all over internet. That's why Obama, in a 360-degree reversed his own red line, something that even Kerry at the moment didn't understood.
Okay, now this comes with the knowledge that Assad actually did gas Syrian people.
Yes,
Okay, so you're saying that did happen.
it did happen.
Okay, all right.
Everybody knows that.
I don't know. Whatever
Well,
they
you
say don't mean nothing to me.
Okay.
It goes back and forth all over the place. Everything just seems stupid. So I have no idea.
Well, there was
a Russian asset.
but there was a conversation between Assad's, I believe, brother or some close relative, I don't remember who, that was intercepted by Israelis, where he gave an order to use gas.
Yeah, well, that don't mean nothing to me either.
Okay.
No, but what you're saying is that Putin told Assad, make sure that the Israelis pick up on the fact that you're going to gas.
Make sure somebody's going to pick
and
up.
that you're don't have to worry about it, because then we're going to go, ha, 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 you ain't doing nothing about it, because then we'll release on the internet Osama bin Laden being taken alive to the helicopter.
That is true.
All right.
Okay, so now we have a lot of... So now Putin needed that type of administration for more 2 years. He had successfully had Iran and Iraq.
Why did he need 2 more years?
Because it wasn't done. It wasn't
Okay,
completed.
what wasn't done?
The domination on the Middle Eastern area.
Okay, so he had a plan. And
He had a
needed
plan.
more
He
time.
needed Egypt. He needed Sisi. He needed
Sisi, what's Sisi?
General Sisi, the president of Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he needed him. He needed to secure his positions in Europe with France and Germany, and he needed the American administration to pretty much doing the same thing every time he would have do something that is completely out of hand in the world arena, like Obama was doing. Okay, we're gonna put a sanctions on your head of intelligence. He will not be able to travel to United States like he ever did. We're gonna make sure that those accounts belong to those 10 people are gonna be locked, which nobody was locked. So Obama's administration pretty much was doing nothing to Russia for neither Ukraine, neither Donbass, neither Syria, neither Iran, nothing. And he needed another 2 years. So he came up with really a brilliant plan. His plan was very simple. When it was obvious that Clinton is going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party, when Putin realized that Trump is actually close to become the nominee, he was thinking, okay, I'm going to have 2 very unpopular nominees running for the president. If I can do something after the nomination that will clearly show that person to be unfit.
Either one of them.
Either one of them.
Either one.
Either one of them.
Okay, now wait. Now this is something, Frank, I want you to comment on. It's starting to come out in the lamestream media, the media so last century, that there was an attempt to control both Clinton and Trump. That there was have you been hearing this? This is something that a lot of the information that they're collecting was on both. Has this been on the radar screen?
Not a lot. I've been hearing rumors of that. Yeah.
It was, but why? what were they saying the reason was?
Well, that's the thing. It's just all well. A lot of it was just this globalist movement that was this close to clenching down, and they wanted to control over both. Like he's saying, having both of them be puppets. And so it was simply just being able to control either or. One of the questions I have, though, for you is you're saying that Putin already knew that when he knew that Trump was close to winning. My question is, what poll does Putin use? Because, I mean, how would he know? I mean, granted,
Yeah, he's got his own phone poll.
On this show, we've been predicting Trump was going to win from when that went down the escalator. But, we're a little eccentric here. But for Putin, when
speak for yourself. Frank
yeah,
called it.
Yeah, I did.
Frank
Thanks.
called
Give
it.
me credit.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how would he know?
Okay, forget about 2016. Right now, in Israel, Mr. Putin, before the election, 3 days before the election in Israel, had for
Okay, now wait a minute. When are we talking about? The one recently?
Yeah, just
like
here.
a couple weeks ago.
Couple
last
weeks
week.
ago.
Okay.
3 days before the election, he had a final 22 scenarios of how the election in Israel is going to go. And he had a plan for each and every one of those 22. As far as the polling goes, I'll put it this way. There are very, very complicated mechanisms that Russian intelligence has right now all over the world. Those mechanisms started to be built way back during the Soviet time. But I don't know, is the operation capital, is it a real operation? Is it a spook? Is it a legend in a Russian intelligence sources? But it's very, very, very solid legend, if it's a legend. And the legend is that long time ago, somebody, is a Bukharin or Merkulov. Bukharin was Lenin's companion. Merkulov was the head of an NKGB back in 40s. Came up with the idea that if we were going to recruit many talented young people and we will not contact them and they will be running independently, and all their job is to sabotage in any way, type, form, or fashion the Western world, the Western world will be destructed from within. So I don't know, is it true or not?
Through
but
what? Intellectual, at universities, sabotage?
Anywhere. Like, take
But
Soros.
how do they control these or have them as assets during this time? They
Take
send
Soros,
checks?
for example.
What?
Take Soros, for
It's a
example.
philosophical agreement overlap. They want to.
Oh, how they control these people?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's very easy. If you recruit somebody during the 50s and you have their signature agreement to cooperate, that person is controlled. It's plain and simple.
All right.
That's nothing to it. But also, it's not just that control. Also, they were supplied with all the resources to become successful. Then the people they was introduced to people
So
that
they made their way up
they
the
made their
social
way
and
up their
economic
social
ladder.
economic ladder.
Got it. All right.
Okay. Anyway, as far as the Poland, Putin has a Poland way better than the Poland in the United States on what's going on in the United States.
Russia Today.
No. He has a real Poland within the United States.
I understand.
He has a real Poland within the United States, and his Poland, I would bet everything that I have, I don't have a lot, that if his Poland is going to be in disagreement with Ned Silver's Poland, then Ned Silver is going to lose.
Well, look, I'm being a little facetious with it. I know you're new to this show. Keep in mind that, in my opinion, I think people in charge knew where the real polling was. I think that's why they kept doubling and tripling down on destroying the credibility of the media, of lying with these polls, because the only way they had out of it to see this avalanche that was coming, just like in Brexit, just like in the nationalist movements around the world, was simply just to overwhelm everyone, to say basically there's only a 2% chance Trump's going to win, so stay home. Just stay home. It's raining. Why bother? Wait. That's the only thing they had. So I would agree that probably the people in charge knew really where was that.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a bigger question, because I'm more of a big picture to narrow down. You're getting into the minutia with it. Maybe I'm at a disadvantage because I don't know your background. I don't know what your background is with any of this and what your intentions are. And I don't mean that in any nefarious sense. I just mean
ain't telling us.
You're clearly concerned about some of the information, yet at the same time you're thrusting yourself in the middle of this thing. So and you're talking about how Putin, you're trying to make a difference because Putin's trying to take over the world, and I'm not doubting that necessarily, but I am curious. Russia, I'm wondering, I'm not going to lose sight of what you're coming here to talk about, but I am curious, with this nationalist populist movement around the world, where does Russia play into this? Because they were the Soviets, obviously, and they went through their own evolution or re-evolution after it fell. Is Putin part of, does he really want to take over the world like domination, like you're saying, or is he sort of like a Trump figure of coming back to the pride of what Russia had been? Because I sense both.
Both. You're absolutely right.
Right. So
You're
that's why I'm
right.
confused.
Right. Both.
So can you expand on that?
Yes. There are two sides of Putin. One is a greedy, power-strange, ruthless, not stopping from nothing politician. And the other one is a
Use all that for Russia.
true Russian patriot. So how both parts are coexisting, I have no idea. But all his actions are simultaneously getting to one goal: having Russia dominating the world arena and having himself dominating Russia. So yes, he is very popular in Russian Federation,
Right.
and all that you hear about Putin having problems, people demonstrating everything, that's a fairy tales. If there's gonna be an election today, then Putin's gonna take more than 65%. He is extremely popular in Russian Federation.
So Frank's question, and I want to know the answer to this. I understand it's so you understand how clean a question this is. Worldwide, just as a side effect of a lot of stuff that's happening, is that worldwide there is a populist movement, a uprising of culture that is regional or local, that people are like, man, none of this is working. All you guys somewhere is taking all my money. You're making me do stuff I don't want to do. You're preventing me from doing stuff I want to do. And a lot of it's coming from even overseas. And we're like, screw all y'all. We're going to take care of our own country. We're going to do our own thing. And Putin is perceived by some people as being that protecting Russia from the West. Is he, when you say dominate the world, is it taking over the world from people and giving it back to somebody else, or get these guys gone in this environmental one world banking whatever, or does he want to slide into the Iron Throne and him be in charge of everything? What do you think is going on?
He wants to be in charge of everything, and the way he wants to be in charge of everything, he had once a conversation where he said that the world the way it is broken. It's already destroyed.
Gosh darn it, I should run it.
Yes, pretty much. He said somebody should run it, and I don't see anybody on the other side. That was the conversation.
So is there any respect for Trump, or is he just a buffoon that he wants, or does he see him as a intelligent adversary? How should Trump even see Putin? When you have the left come out in the deep state, for lack of a better term, they come out, he's a Putin lover. I can't believe what a Putin lover he is. Russia did it, Russia to lose you, Russia. And every time they do that, it's just like they're pointing their fingers at themselves. They're as bad or worse at it, or they're just jealous. They want to be the guy, working with Putin or something. So I'm wondering, Putin's role in this is nothing more than, these stupid people need to be slapped around, and I'm just a guy to do it.
It's not just slapped around. See, what he wants is he wants to destroy the world the way we know it, from economic point of view, and build the new.
Yeah, me too. But to what end? You know, so
to the end of everything. He completely revamped Russian economy to where Russia can do some barter trading with China and other some nation.
But how does that affect me? See, my thing is that this economic system is going to go. It'll be digital currency. It'll be silver. It'll be.
I can explain it.
It'll be something. So for him to do that, I have taken it down, and now it's me. And people in Kansas are using the ruble. I mean, what are you saying?
No. The way he wanted, the way he wanted to do it, just a little bit over 9 months ago, he wanted to dump the dollar with the Chinese $2 trillion of United States debt. But before that, he wanted to organize a series of developments, like Mueller report was supposed to be looking different. The impeachment was supposed to start way before. The Syrian the Syrian war was supposed to go a different way. The Saudi Arabia tape was supposed to be American strong reaction against Saudi Arabia. The oils was supposed Trump. Intuitively, he figured out he didn't retaliate against Saudi Arabia for killing this guy. I forget his name. The North Korea was supposed to start missiles.
That guy.
A lot of different things was supposed to happen. So the fire sale of American dollar would look natural. Okay, when I found out, I have warned the administration and. I pretty much said, hey, listen, guys, you need to print $2 trillion in order when these things happen to start buying the Chinese dollars, because when the Chinese treasury, because once it happened, all you will have to do is a new Marshall Plan for China. Well, Putin scrapped the whole plan at that point because it was obviously it's not going to work. But as far as Trump, this is probably the first time Putin actually respects a foreign leader. Because from Putin's point of view, after everything that was done, after everything Putin knows, Trump is still standing, and Putin lost completely all his achievements in the world area that he built it over the 8 years prior to Trump becoming a president. From Putin's point of view, that's a clear miracle from God. He doesn't have any other explanations to that. That's not what I say. That's what Putin
Well, Frank, let's tell him all about it.
Huh? But that's what Putin doesn't even hide it. He's talking about it openly to people who are around him. He's not trying to hide. He said God is on this guy's side. That's all.
It's called New York.
Okay.
New York City.
Yes, I called it New York City. If you read my book, I wrote over there that Trump is still standing is really a miracle from God. But you also have to have Trump on that place. You have to have a 1,000,000% self-conviction of being an incredibly stable genius who cannot be blackmailed, and that's Trump. So whatever little things Putin has on Trump, he's not even trying to blackmail him because he knows it's not going to work.
You can't blackmail someone who's been airing their dirty laundry on the Howard Stern show for 40 years. You know, I mean, not to be funny, but that's kind of where he's already basically disarmed all of his critics from the beginning. But you could go further.
The reason you can't blackmail Trump because Trump doesn't have an email. He doesn't. No, really.
I know you thought of that. That's awesome.
Really. No,
he's got Twitter, though.
No, really. If you look, there is no email that Trump.
That's interesting.
That if you look, there is no email that Trump used in last probably 20 years, if he ever used an email. You can call him and ask him, Mr. Trump, do you have an email address? He'll tell you no.
That's interesting. I never even
John
thought of
McCain had the same thing. John McCain didn't even have an email account for the longest time.
John McCain didn't have to have an email account. There's a different story about John McCain and his time in Vietnam, and I don't want to go there.
That's right. I'm getting into that. So I'm curious with Putin. Now, does he associate with the globalists, since he seems to be working with George Soros, who's seeing his globalist empire fall apart? So is Putin associate with globalism, or is he at odds with globalists?
Putin is not associated with anybody. Putin doesn't have friends and associates. Putin's using everybody to achieve his
Fair.
goals.
Okay. So he's not a globalist.
He's not
So,
nobody.
so when you
He-
look at the Soviet Union versus Russia, the kicker is Russia is the culture. Okay, Russia, it's kind of like where America is a similar thing, where the empire of America, as Dr. Ron Paul accurately talks about this, is the fact that when you're America and you take care of your own borders, and I'm not even getting to the border wall here, but when you take care of your own borders and your culture, then that's your focus. And then when you get too spread out, like the Romans, and you start having, right, and you're all over the place, you start to break down because you lose the sight of what the core was, and the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and you see all this. Right?
It's interesting, but if you open that Russian gambit of mine, it's talking about that. I don't know. Did you read it or not?
No,
Because
it's just I
that's
follow
exactly what-
history. No, I pay attention.
That's
why.
exactly what I said. I
know.
said
This is
that
just-
Bukharin said that Romans wasn't conquered by guns. Romans was destroyed from within.
It collapsed under its own weight,
Yes.
and that's exactly what empires do. And it's always a matter of time. And so, matter of fact, that's one of the arguments, not to get way off, of basically of the of the paradox of where are all the alien civilizations out there. The thinking is that you would assume you'd have alien empires all over the universe, but if the same law applies, then as empires get too big, they collapse. They can't do it. So anyway,
There's no
get-
aliens.
I know. Well, we'll get to that. So with that said, I'm just saying with the Russians, though, when you have the Soviet Union was an expansion of Russia, just like America expanding to the world. And now America is too far apart. We're losing our culture. And Trump comes in, as like many other countries, saying, let's pull back and stop being the policeman of the world and focus on our own borders, language, and culture. Now, Russia seems to be what my impression is. Like you said, it's duality here. That Russia was Russia, then it expanded to the Soviet Union. They saw their greatness and fight with the Americans, right? And now, when the Soviet Union collapses, they deal with the economy. We didn't get a chance to talk, but I said to you off the air a little bit, I was over in Russia after you had, come back here. I was there sort of right after, I guess, 96, 97, spoke to many Russians that were experimenting with this new so-called free market and a new world there and the rebuilding. And so I would think that would lead to a re-energized Russian people saying, forget the Soviet Union, all the problems that we dealt with and all the cars that were the same. Let's look at capitalism and embrace it enough and buckle down into Russia culture. I had heard, for instance, just to summarize a few of these things, when I was talking about culture, and I speak quite a bit of culture here on the show. Here in America, we're losing the culture, to give an example, where people who might be Muslim, we talk about Muslim Americans or African Americans. Now, this might be wrong, and you fill me in, but I heard that Russia today looks at it the opposite, where the pride is to be Russian Muslim or maybe African, or like Russian African. In other words, the emphasis is on being Russian first, whereas America, it's flipped, where America comes second. And so if that's the trend where Russia comes first, even in how you express yourself, then that to me is a nationalist movement, and therefore Putin would be focused more as a nationalist leader against globalization and not trying to take over the world, which is what your point is. And that's why I'm challenging.
Yeah,
the
I'm like
concept.
taking over the world to free it, take over the world to rob it, take over the world to blow it up, take over the world to what?
To have an order. His
but that's not
idea is
So he's got the
That's not
Russian
nationalist.
old world order.
it's not the Russian old world order. He is not trying to take over the world in a way of Roman emperors. It's not the way he's trying to take over the world as far as building the new world and building a new world on completely different economical
On the infrastructure and everything.
everything.
Well, as a 5-year plan world, as
No,
a really free market world, as
no,
gold. What?
As a completely new society. His idea
Where Russia
is,
invented everything first? I mean, what?
no, the Russia is a leader of that new world, not America.
Yeah, they invented
Okay,
it first.
I'm not trying to say that Putin is trying to take the world and be a king over the world. That's not.
Okay,
what-
well, you got to make that clear because
Yeah,
everybody.
no, that's
why not? Everybody else is.
No. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying is, Putin wants to be Russia a leader of a new world, and that new world is going to be built on a different moral and economical principles that to him are the correct ones.
Okay, now let me make this point right here. The United States, certainly since the Industrial Revolution, everybody wants to come here and be America, and we had the Gilded Age, which was gilded. I mean, it wasn't real. I mean, it was based on debt and everything, same old stuff that's going on now. So you have the end of the 1800s, you start to industrialize, you start getting these big oligarchs, you start having, of course, they need government to protect their monopolies. We don't want competition's a sin, so you might as well have been freaking Soviet. What's the difference? So this evolved, our culture around certain things that were abused and exploited to support this, just putting the flag on it and saying it's America and calling it capitalism when really it's not. It has been this controlled, slow motion train wreck bank robbery and it's gone. So seeing that, if you're Putin or a leader of another country, well, of course you want to maintain your leadership in your country, and I rule it, and somebody needs to rule it. It might as well be me, kind of thing. So they got that going on. The Western cultures are so corrupt because their mechanisms and all of their elections and the way the process is, it's gotten so far removed from local and the people that it's easy to collectively control it by controlling a handful of people. We saw this in the deep state with Obama administration and what was going on there. We were way down the road. Now the narrative here with this Q and the Anons and Trump administration and the white hats at the NSA and military intelligence come to save the day, to and here they are to save the day. And what they wanted to do is make sure Trump knew what was going on and he could defend America from this attack on our finances and pension. I say it's pensions. It's going to be pensions and it's gone. Wall Street, whatever, we've been picked at down to the bone. All the great whites are circling the whale carcass. Now, Putin sit there and watch that and he goes, you know what? I'd rather, be in a situation where you don't do that to us. You're not doing it to this country. China's got its own thing going on. But Russia has been a merchant selling natural gas and gas to Europe. A lot of what's going on in Afghanistan and going through Syria about pipelines and all this kind of, a lot of this stuff, blah, 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 it's all about energy. Then you're going to have what happens when they get the whiz-bang battery and the super solar collector of the what. I have no idea. Thinking long-term, whatever it is that they want to do, they need to do it now. Because if it's based on energy economics and oil, that may, within 10, 15 years, heck, just with a fusion reactor or something, thorium reactors they're doing in India, and the molten salt reactors, thorium, and so on in China, is going to change the dynamic on energy. So Ecuador and Venezuela, that makes a bunch of money, and they're, supporting their socialism based on that. Then they crash the oil prices. They're overextended. They go bankrupt, okay? Russia is different. Russia has enormous amounts of resources in both energy and minerals and metals and they got it. I don't know why they haven't surpassed us already anyway. And the reason that I think that they haven't is because the economic system is not as vibrant as ours up till now, because it's all been on debt. I don't think Russia has a big giant debt, do they? So they're sitting there going, how much gold can we get? So whatever comes out at the end of this, it will be a different economic system. What's his? Is it going to be a central planned, socialist controlled, fascist, whatever, commie, whatever the hell it is? Is it going to be a free market? Is he going to take over the world to free it? Is he going to be in competition with the West? What's going to happen to the petrodollar? You see my point?
I see your point. I don't have a question, an answer on that. As far as my own thinking, that's all I can say, because I never, it's not my forte, and quite honestly, I never.
Well, what you're seeing is that he is in opposition with whom? Frank's trying to say, is it globalism, and he's trying to protect Russia? Is he taking over the world to leave Russia alone? I mean, what is his goal?
I do know that he completely revamped the Russian economy in last 7 years to 8, 9 years, 7 to 9 years, where Russia would be able to survive without a lot of people dying during the economic crisis that he himself was trying to initiate in December and January of December of 2018, January 2019, where the rest of the world, according to certain projections, would lose 20 to 30% of the population. That was his plan. And
due to what? Poverty? Due to economic strife?
To the
mushroom clouds? I mean, what?
To the hunger, to the diseases. If the dollar collapses, the plan was for the dollar to collapse and start to, all the other financial institutions will start to panic way beyond the 1931, 32, 33. Then the movement of the goods and the products will stop. Just imagine that you don't have a government that is capable of taking your trash out of your backyard. What's going to happen after 3 weeks? Just little trash thing. The rest of it you don't have to have a really to be a rocket science to understand why 25 to 30% of a population will die.
It's Illinois.
Okay. Well,
no, I mean, this is what's happening state by state. And when it happened in 08, 09, they freaked out. We got to have money from the federal government. And there was we found there was some governor slush fund for the itty bitty little state of Arizona. It's a couple $1 billion that Brewer had. There was all, we're like, what? And we couldn't track it down. They wouldn't deny it. And you had references to it and line items and so on, but it was like not official, and they wouldn't deny it. They wouldn't confirm, like, what the heck? So if they've done something like that, we're going to have big time in this next one. And states like Illinois, that their pension funds are gone. They're not fully funded. The stock market takes a big dump, and all the municipal employees are going to be freaking out, and all of a sudden your trash doesn't get picked up.
But it's not just trash.
That's just the beginning.
You don't have a potato in a store. You can't buy food.
You can't go to a government to help you when it can't help itself.
It's a lot of
which you should be able to.
So the Putin plan was to destroy this Western world, which he thinks is rotten from inside and dead anyway. So his plan was to destroy it.
Wait, but they're a product of the Western world.
Huh?
Russia's a product of the
Absolutely.
West, so they can't destroy it. They're just trying to. It sounds like
he wanted to destroy it and build it a new one. Completely new one. His idea, what I think is his idea of a world economy is a mix between Germany in 1939 to 1941 and Russia, what they have now, where you have almost all of the free enterprise you can get. However, all the billionaires know that if they make a wrong move, they're going to find themselves out of money and sometime in jail.
Sometimes dead.
The way I kind of picture it with Russia, it kind of reminds me that they're like a larger version of North Korea, essentially. And
no.
Wait.
Let him make his point, but you better make it.
Yeah, I have a lot of analogies there. What I mean by North Korea, not that it's some so-called isolationist and all of this. What I mean is North Korea just in some ways wants to be left alone to do an own thing. And if they want to have nuclear weapons or do something, well, why not? They're on this planet. They're born of the earth as everybody else. But other people are saying, you can't do X, Y, Z because you're not part of our club. And it's almost like the cool kids of school getting all together saying, we're all joining this clique. And you're the goth kid that just doesn't want to join in, but you just want to do your own thing. And the group is saying you can't. Well, who the heck says I can't? And that's kind of where North Korea is, and I think a lot of what they're doing with nuclear weapons is just saying, because I can. It's like having a gun, even if you're not going to use it, because I can. You want to walk around with an open carry, in Arizona, it's because you can. You want to ride a motorcycle without a helmet, it's not smart to do, but because you can. Sometimes you exercise it. And that's how I look at Russia as a larger version, where they are a product of the Western world, but they have been ostracized and marginalized because of history and other things, and where they are on the planet. They're surrounded by the Pacific Theater, aside from Australia and New Zealand, and there's a whole trading corridor there. I went to college in Japan, so I know that whole corridor, and Russia's one edge, and you got this whole little thing. So I just feel like Russia, in a way, has been marginalized this whole time, and then sitting back watching the European nations with the Eurozone and everything consolidate, and George Soros, and then getting American presidents on board, and under the guise of global warming and everything else coming together.
NATO's going to check your recycle bin.
And Russia's off to the side. So that's all I'm saying is don't make too much of a link with North Korea, but they are a country that wants to do their own thing, and they're being more and more a minority of the rest of the world. So to knock down globalism at its core is one way for Russia not to take over the world as much as to get rid of and break down this kind of conglomerate that's building upon them. And they've structured themselves or positioned themselves economically where they try to take Afghanistan and get the other oil fields so they don't have to prop up the petrodollar. So that's one side. So they've got that going. Then they're becoming buddies with China, which I still want to ask you about really what's going on there, but because then they're communist, true communism or so-called, but both of them are becoming kind of capitalistic, and we'll chat about that. But they're buddies with China, who is the other. They own, of course, the debt of America, and they can become buddies and drop the dollar that way. Then they're doing inroads to Africa because of between the metals there and the oil over there in Africa, which is a whole blossoming area of Africa. And then on top of that, I hear Putin's got a little penchant for something called Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So he's in that. So he's covering his bases as a country smartly in all areas, waiting for America's noose, as I think it was a Gorbachev. No, it was a Khrushchev. It said, we're just going to wait for America to hang themselves on their own capitalism, whatever they said.
Putin is not waiting for
No, I know he's not waiting, but I'm just thinking that's where he's set, and the country, the world, is about to do that.
If I was a country, and I wanted all the resources. The only thing he doesn't have is really access to warm water port, which is why Crimea was such a big deal. But now the Northwest...
It's not only because of that, because he simply cannot have the Black Sea Fleet operating, and that's a crown of Russian military. He cannot have it operating without Crimea. So it was obvious that...
Yeah, no. Crimea is going to be Russia. Do we really want to go war over this? Because I guarantee Russia will go to war over that.
Oh, yeah.
So the other thing is the Northwest Passage, or certainly the Arctic Ocean, as it starts to, global warming or whatever. I don't even think, it seems like ice is coming back, but they don't care. They got big nuclear icebreakers. Hell, Joby Weeks, a friend of ours, went to the North Pole. They carved out a hole and he jumped in. Yeah, they put a harness on him. It has like little stairs and stuff. He jumped in. No, I'm going, hell no. But he was on a Russian nuclear icebreaker, which is for tourists. I mean, they're plowing around through, say, hey, what? We got big nuclear ice-breaking ships. We can ship all over we want in the Arctic.
I can tell you when Putin started to change and what triggered him started to change.
Change to what?
Change his attitude to the world and Russia part in the world. Putin is, despite of all his Napoleon complex, he is a man of a word. In other words, when Putin says something, he never says something without thinking it through, start to begin with. Even we're going to have a dinner tonight at 8 o'clock, he will think about it. Where, how, what. In other words, he doesn't leave nothing to a chance. When he says something, he means it. He never says something and didn't deliver. He was expecting the same type of a behavior from the United States. When they came to him and asked him not to get involved in Libya, and when
Gaddafi.
Clinton had that brilliant plan of getting rid of Gaddafi, that if they wouldn't... I'm an Orthodox Jew, so you probably can figure out what I think of Gaddafi.
Not a fan.
Or with that way of Saddam Hussein. But if there would not be Gaddafi, he should be created. And if there would be no Saddam Hussein, he should be created. There was a block of the dictators that was stopping the Khomeinis of the world, that was stopping ISIS, that was stopping Al-Qaeda. You only can have is a dictator type of Saddam Hussein or Assad or Gaddafi, or you can have yourself a Muslim Brotherhood in charge. You can't have nothing in between over there. Okay, that's what you have.
So you have a secular world leader, or you got terrorists.
So when they had that brilliant idea to take down Libya's regime, all Putin asked for, listen to this. All he asked, okay, I will play alone. Make sure that Gaddafi is going to be finished up in some nice country in exile. Don't kill him. When he saw what they did to Gaddafi,
When who saw Putin?
yes, when he saw what they did to Gaddafi, everybody knew in his closest surrounding, things are gonna change, and they already changed.
So
Not
was
that
the
they're
moment
gonna change, that only gonna change. They already changed.
It's interesting because that shows the magnification of that whole Benghazi event that the deep state in this country just keeps trying to bury. It's affected the whole. It's a changing point of Russia as well. That's fascinating.
That
Yeah.
Putin never forgave, never forget. That spit in his face.
Okay, now it wasn't just Russia. China had brought in billions of dollars developing the oil in there, and they had to.
I'm not talking about that. Putin asked to spare Gaddafi's life. Forget about money. Forget about anything else. He had a personal request.
No.
He had a personal request. Spare this guy's
No,
life.
I understand.
And he was spot in the face.
No,
he
I understand.
never forgive that.
And this is my point.
Right.
Is that with that knowledge, with that emotion, with that realization, with that revelation, it also he had natural allies
then you
of
have
China
everything, yes.
because they did the same
Yes.
thing to them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
to think that Russia and China isn't going to have some military joint operation at FU to the west, of course they are, if nothing else, just because they
not
pissed them
only
off
because
in
of that,
Benghazi.
but for pure economical reasons. Because in that
Libya.
new world that Putin says, he says China is a natural partner.
Yeah.
Because of the resources and because of the body counts. That's all. So China is a natural partner.
How close are they really? I mean, obviously it's advantageous, but did they really find a bond?
Putin was trying to court Chinese in using the American debt to tank the world economy for last 6 years, and they was politely telling them no. It's funny, but it was Trump who made them Chinese to accept it, because Trump pretty much put Chinese economy on a brink of collapse. So now now the people in a head echelons of Communist Party of China are looking at the situation and they say, well, it's gonna be damn if you do and damn if you don't. Might as well help Putin and try to see what's gonna happen. So that's the play over there.
Yes.
But China's economy is really and truly on a brink of collapse right now. All those stocks that they talking and this and this and this. A couple of years ago, there was a big sign placate in a Chinese, all over Chinese cities, of a famous soldier who died sometime 30 years ago with a machine gun. And when Chinese put a picture of a soldier with a machine gun, that's a warning to the Chinese population: be very careful, because the machine gun is there. So that was a message they were saying.
They got a message in Hong Kong right now.
That message was due to the fact that they're starting to have any problems with the economy a couple of years ago, and that problems are deeper and deeper and deeper every day. So that's total different story. But yes, Putin and Russia and China has completely revamped their economical relationship, where it's probably right now 3 to 5 times higher than it was 7 years ago.
Now, the Silk Road, or their new One Belt Road, and their economics with China going into the West and Africa and so on. It's obvious to see what they're doing, which is why they have the South China Sea islands to protect their shipping lanes and so on. And I'm going, all right, what role does Russia have in that? Are they partner? Are they buddying up to them? Are they doing their own?
They pretty much guarantee that nothing's going to happen. If anything serious is going to start to happen...
What do you mean, what going to happen? What happened?
There's only certain things that, at this point of time, the administration can do to stop the Chinese expansion in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Putin guarantees that whatever administration can do on a world arena is going to be stopped by Russia. Whatever it is. So whatever, and he will stop it.
So Russia and China are banded together against any Western interest that would try and stop their expansion of trade?
Absolutely.
Right. Got it.
Absolutely.
I have another question with Putin, but before a similar with Benjamin Netanyahu. I know, now I'm from Philadelphia, and I understand he went to college in Philadelphia, Netanyahu.
Yes, he went to college with Mitt Romney.
That's right. So he's the East Coast guy. So I didn't realize that the Israeli Prime Minister actually knows about a good cheesesteak.
Yeah.
So I'm proud.
No, Netanyahu never had a good cheesesteak.
Oh, that's a good point. Touche.
Touche.
All right, touche. Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is I found it refreshing in a way because I began to understand, like Osama bin Laden, I hate to bring them up in the same sentence here, but is that because bin Laden spent time here in America. A lot of people don't realize he's like running around driving Corvettes, having probably white girlfriends and the whole bit, but he goes back and then becomes the bin Laden that we see as this figurehead. And Netanyahu...
No, you're wrong about bin Laden. Bin Laden was not just living in America. Bin Laden only became bin Laden because of the CIA.
Well, yeah, but my point though is when he was here, he
was recruited when he was here.
No, I know, but people think of him as this guy wearing a turban and living in the desert in a cave who just rides camels and has no understanding what America is. He was hanging and partying here in America. People don't realize that, and that's what I'm getting. Netanyahu at least had a chance to have a cheesesteak, but the point is he understands Philly. He gets it. And I've seen some interviews where he's talked to people from Philly and Pennsylvania, and like he's like kind of a homie to me almost, in the fact that like he gets Philadelphia. He also gets the East Coast, which is Donald Trump. New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. One of the reasons that I was, and I appreciate, Ernie's had me on the show and Donna for a number of years, and despite our arguments and all. But one of the things that kind of got Trump away, because I come from the East Coast, my family works in the steel business, and there's the old saying, if you can make it in Manhattan, you can make it anywhere. Well, Trump took on Manhattan and won the city, so he could take on, kind of going to your point earlier, but Netanyahu kind of laughs. He gets Trump, just like I laugh with Trump. Like I got him before most people thought he was just completely nuts and crazy. I'm like, no, this is like a mentality. But it means that Netanyahu gets America. He gets the culture to a certain degree.
Yes.
And I respect that. My question is, what about Putin? Because I know he'll never speak English. Every interview, like Megyn Kelly or whatever, he'll always speak Russian. But I know he's a smart guy. I'm sure he speaks English. So how much does he pretend he doesn't? Like he's playing the Russian, patriarch. But does he really get America? Has he been to America? Like does he get us on a personal level? Do you think?
Yeah. Does he watch American TV?
Does he watch The Bachelor? You see my point?
He's not watching too much of American TV. But that said,
Yeah,
he doesn't watch too much of Russian TV.
Well, fair enough. But has he been to America? Like he's been here?
One thing about Putin, he doesn't have to. You probably wouldn't understand the brilliancy of that evil mind. It's difficult to understand it, but Putin knows what, for example, I will do 3 years
Go ahead
before
and stay on the mic.
What I will do
Yeah.
3 years before I make a move. He knows what each and every one of a people on a board will do years before the move will made.
Now, he has made the statement that those that have AI will rule the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't already have it already. He certainly wants to have artificial intelligence with data, because he's getting all this data too.
Yes.
I would think that Russia kind of, to think that they don't know everything that we know or our guys know, I'm just like, hey, can I know? Can I check my old emails? I lost one. Nope, you're not allowed.
Well,
Go ask Putin.
I'm not saying that. And
No, but not even that. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the brilliancy of the mind.
The what of the mind?
The brilliancy of the
Brilliancy.
mind. I'll give you an example. His old KGB days. In his old KGB days, the way the communication was done with the agents in the world was done through newspapers. So the messages was going through newspapers. So you have a newspaper, you open a newspaper, you have your code, Pravda or whatever, or New York Times, or whatever it is. You have the code, you open the page, you put the code, you read the message. Now, imagine yourself that been taken over by internet now. Now the communications go through internet. So now you have different internet articles appearing every different second, and you have 5 or 6 or 7 different messages on different internet articles with different codes. Okay, now you have Putin who can glance through 7 and decode it in his head.
Yeah, but that's technical brilliance.
No. It's not technical.
Wait. Let me make a point. First off, it's natural brilliance. I do not doubt that at all. But it's also probably maybe cultural because Russia. We have
I'll give you another example.
Wait. He's the ultimate.
How smart he is and
I'll
able
give
to
you
process
an example.
information is not important.
I understand.
Important to me is why he's processed, to what end, what's his
I'll
philosophy.
give you another example. You know Boris Berezovsky, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
Boris Berezovsky is a Russian billionaire who invested a lot of money to making Putin to who he is now.
Okay.
Boris Berezovsky decided that because he invested a lot of money to making Putin who he is right now, then
He owes a little something.
Putin owes him something.
Mm-hmm.
And Putin owes nobody nothing. That's his idea.
Yeah,
People
you're
owes
lucky
to
I
him.
let you live.
Okay, so when Boris Berezovsky turned on Putin, and some of the brilliant heads in the FSB, which is the replacement of KGB, decided to have him blown up, Putin called the man and said, "Why did you do that?" He said, "I thought that's what you wanted." He said, "No, that's not what I want. Mr. Berezovsky is going to kill himself. We don't need to help him." That was 12 years before Boris Berezovsky hanged himself. So when Putin has a plan, the brilliancy is not in predicting things. The brilliancy is going through with the plan. So he leaves nothing to details. In order for Boris Berezovsky to kill himself, there had to be each and every parts of a puzzle in that moment of time, in that part of the world.
So it was a psychological
Yes.
warfare.
Right. What I mean is, I understand the brilliance with it and the strategy. I mean, whether it's cultural or not, there seems to be something about the Russian culture and chess playing, right? The best chess masters come there,
Yes.
and what you're saying is he's the ultimate chess player,
he
and he
is.
thinks through every move.
Yes.
The difference is Donald Trump is a speed chess player.
Yes.
So we're talking chess, but on a different level. Also, not to be too geeky, because Ernie get these up about me being geek, but Star Trek. Right? Star Trek was when it was created, the Romulans were a reflection of the Russians. The fact that they never punch, they counterpunch. They wait and let you make the first move, and they counter. Right? And that's how the Russians tend to work. And that's the kicker, because that's what Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is the ultimate counterpuncher. He doesn't attack like the deep state, everyone else. He waits and then he hits you twice as hard, but he does it in speed chess way, and he just goes through it where he doesn't think it through as much. And someone like Putin, who's this grand, not schemer, but I mean he is, but he's strategy. And there's a lot to be said about being a good chess player, but at the same time, anyone who plays chess or these types of high-level games will say that understanding your opponent's personality, even if you don't talk to them, you could get their personality through the playing. So all I'm getting at is
sure as hell poker.
Exactly, it's like poker. And so there's something about where chess might be Russia, poker is like America, and understanding...
And it's a Star Trek episode.
Yeah, I got to fit Star Trek in. But understanding America, like Netanyahu or Bin Laden, I think goes a long way. It doesn't mean that Putin obviously is successful if he wasn't hanging out at Burning Man. I get that, but I'm just thinking, though, if he was here, it gives me a little insight about what he knows or what he doesn't know, because he clearly doesn't understand Trump. He's figuring it out. But people like Trump.
Underestimated Trump.
Of course, because he doesn't understand America at the core level. And that's what this whole culture war is about, not to get into that too much.
But you're right about that.
Well, we can move on, but I just think it's a good
see, in the U.S., during the Reagan administration, he used that Buccaneer thing to his advantage.
But you know what? I'll give it this way. It's not that he doesn't understand America. He didn't figure out Trump. Putin figured out Bush. Putin figured out Clinton. Putin figured out Obama. Putin did not figure out Trump. And that's why Putin said this is from God. Because Putin cannot understand how this guy is still standing.
I'm not saying it's not from God. Maybe it is. But from Putin says it's from God because I don't get how he did it. And then you've got people, the deep state in our country, saying, "Well, it was, they call him racist."
No,
wait.
It's not a deep state.
No, okay. Well, wait.
Putin organized all of that.
Okay.
Clapper's been an agent for the Putin.
All right, let's forget the deep state. Forget I said
that. No. I want to hear about Clapper later.
I want to get to that. What I'm saying
we'll get to it. Hold on, Boris. Let me finish.
Whereas Putin might say, I don't understand how Trump did this. It must be God. Then you have people, let's say the Democrats, media, whoever, in this country sitting there back going, I don't understand how he did it. It must have been, he's a Russian agent or he's a racist and all the clans, the KKK members all came out to vote.
They don't care why they did it. They don't want them doing it.
The people that didn't understand Trump are those that don't understand the deeper part, I think, of the culture, whereas Netanyahu got it. You've got Brexit leaders like Boris Johnson got it. They all saw where Trump was coming from, that his probably would win because they're tapping into a deeper level of what the culture is.
And Steve Bannon went all over Europe to explain it to them if they didn't get it.
I'm just saying there is something, too, about understanding America and the fact that he hasn't really been here to get it, American culture enough. I think he missed it. It may not matter further for this conversation, but it gives me a sense of how he's playing a game without really understanding the people in charge as much.
He understands the people. He just didn't understand Trump.
Yeah,
Look,
Trump is the people. That's why he won.
No. Trump is a phenomenon. Let me tell you
this.
Of the people?
Yes, but he's a phenomenon.
Populist.
Yes, but but forget about populist and everything.
What do we forget about it? The whole world's changing.
All right, let him make his point, Frank.
But Trump is a phenomenon in a way that...
What is a phenomenon? He's a phenomenon because the people made him one.
No.
Who made him one? Trump did?
No.
Trump
he
did
made
it
himself. Listen, Trump was a billionaire before anybody was made.
Trump has been trying to get to this position for the past 30 years.
Okay, whatever.
The reason he did it now is because the time was right. The people were ready. No. It's a populist movement that's going on around the world. This is
Trump
something in opposition.
All his money by one thing. Whenever all the odds was against him, he said, so be it. And he still went and fought. And because he went and fought, he won majority of the battles. That's a phenomena. People in his position usually don't do that. People in his position usually analyzing the board, and they're usually looking at the chances.
Okay,
and
I understand what you're saying, that he is unique. He is a unique individual. But there's always those unique individuals.
Absolutely.
That is what the Matrix is all about. It's Neo.
Again,
out of billions of people, there's a freaking Neo. There's always a Neo. But without the support of the people, Neo ain't squat.
Putin played Clinton, Putin played Obama, and Putin played them all like a $2 bill.
And sooner or later, you have someone that doesn't turn.
Great. It doesn't mean that Putin doesn't understand America. Putin didn't figure out Trump. That's a big difference here. It has nothing to do with not understanding America.
Okay, now this is from our perspective. This is so maybe I can help Frank express this because I got this kind of the same feelings. That if you understood America and what they champion, the underdog, independence. When I watched, I don't really watch a lot of Trump crap because I just don't. But I watched his speech recently, a couple weeks ago at the United Nations. Did you watch that?
That was fantastic.
That was a fantastic speech, but he kind of gave it like Carter's malaise speech from the teleprompter. I don't want to bitching about Obama telepromptering, but if you take that out, The actual written speech and the words that he said was awesome. And he goes to everybody and says, look, man, you guys do your own thing and independence and America and freedom and all that kind of stuff. So he gave red meat to all the Americans because we understood what he was saying. And what he said, whether he believed it or not, it's not even the point. The fact that he said these words, I know the impact it has on other people in other countries. They're going, whoa, yeah, what the hell, man? The beacon, the light on the hill, and we need some America. Well, that is understanding America, and it's understanding the impact it has on the rest of the world. I've done a lot of international interviews, and people from like West Germany at the time, and Japan, and so on, Korea, South Korea. They don't understand this independence thing. That's why my show is Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. The only role of government is the defense of individual rights. When it doesn't do that, it's time to alter or abolish. It's your right, it's your duty.
That's why Putin started this game.
Okay, now see, let me finish. Now, this is my point. Putin, if he doesn't understand, there will always be a Trump phenomenon. Our history is full of Trump phenomenons. It's the only thing that changes anything, and it always comes from the ground up because our culture supports that one. Now, they're trying to tear that down. They want to make sure that we don't get to do that. They're doing everything they can to prevent Trump phenomenons from happening. They want, because there's 15 gazillion Trumps behind him. You can name off a whole bunch of leaders, just cultural leaders that don't even give a crap. We got Elon Musk, or you got whoever your favorite tech guy of somebody, kind of whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that we produce, and that's what we have been lacking, is the steady line production of a bunch of audacious, independent individuals that show the Yankee ingenuity of we're just going to get some. That's what they're trying to kill in our mind. If Putin does not understand that our support is not for any one thing other than the individual, you understand that, you understand America, and you can have a bunch of influence and whatever. Trump understands this. That's what he's doing. They're going, he's a phenomenon. No, he's a representation of the phenomenon of American culture. That's what he is, and it's infecting the rest of the world. So if Putin doesn't understand that, then he's going to, rise himself up to the top and go, look, I made it to the top. And yeah, you got to the top of your ladder, but you were on the wrong wall. Nobody gives a crap. So I need to understand that if he doesn't understand that, he's not going to get any domination of anything on the world. He might Russia, but I don't know what kind of impact he thinks he's going to have on the rest of the world.
And that's the reason he started his plan, because when he found out of all the surveillance programs that passed through a Republican-controlled Congress and Senate, he said that is the end of America.
When was this? When
that was when Bush, I believe that was in 2009, Bush had Putin at his ranch in Texas, and Bush blackmailed Putin with some of the stuff that was collected through the NSA applications. And Putin figured out immediately that there is a new ways of collecting the information that was not known to the world before. So when he came back to Moscow, he had a meeting with all the intelligence heads of different branches, and he said he wants to know the roots of that information. In about 6 months, he knew in an abris, the PRISM and all the other applications that was used by United States government to collect information indiscriminately on anybody in the United States. Now, to go further, that information was used by different people for different goals. For example, Mr. Soros used that information to make money, because the fact that he was private or ridden the emails of SFO or CFO, whatever it is, of a company to a CEO of a company with the earnings 2 days prior to the earnings release made them a lot of money. Okay, the other people make, like President Obama, make it that information in order to deal with their adversaries. The first time Obama did it was against now very, very discredited New York representative in the Congress.
Spitzer?
No, not Spitzer.
Wiener?
Mr. Wiener.
Mr. Wiener.
Yeah.
At least you're polite.
Well, yes. But you got to understand, whatever he is,
Right.
he only was caught because he was spied by an NSA contractor. Whatever he did, just think about it, to use the NSA contractors to deal with your opponent, whose only guilt was that he went openly and said, I disagree with administration policy towards Israel. Mr. Obama crushed Mr. Wiener. When he crushed it and nothing happened, he went all the way through. So now you have yourself a Obamacare, because about 35 hours prior to Supreme Justice Roberts rewriting completely his position on Obamacare, he had a visitor who came in and showed him certain email. He said, I saw it on my child's computer. And now you have yourself an Obamacare. He went over and he decided that Pope Benedict was a wrong pope. And the only way to change the electorate in the United States, and the best way, is to change it from the top, is to attack the conservative base from the very person whom they think is as close to God as it can get. So we got ourselves another pope. And many other things that was done. When Putin realized that that's going on, he said, that's not the America. Oh, he gets America a lot.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing
So
is, if you think Trump's a phenomenon,
No.
Means it sounds like you
I'm
think he's
talking
an
about
outlier.
Trump. I'm talking about Putin now.
I understand.
When Putin realized that United States is using the KGB tactics of spying on its own citizens, and the citizens give no crap about it, he said that country is dead.
Now, well, this is coming from an ex-KGB guy. I guess the people cared that they're being surveilled. The United States, this is, we always see, I give you an example so you understand. When email first started becoming a big thing and broadband hit about 2003 or so, spam was really bad. I mean, you just get tons of stuff in your, and it's bad now, but there's different things called spam arrestor, and there's different things that you can do. And so as much people, I'm a libertarian and I'm not for another law, but man, there ought to be a law against the spam, something. And then there's a free market solution. It always just comes, there's, all right, you load this, you do, all right, then you're good for a while. And you do. Americans expect that. They're always, if there is a demand, if somebody wants something, it usually comes because they'll spend money on it. That's how free markets work. Well, when you're looking at you're saying all this surveillance on Americans, and they're sitting there going, yeah, this sucks. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. Something better will be here directly. That's not that we accept it. It's that we trade convenience, for our privacy and security. We go, here's our privacy and security, give us some convenience. But given the option and the technology that we go private, we do care. This is why Snowden and Manning and Assange get a lot of popular support. I am not thinking that we're dead inside because we just don't care or whatever. We're dead to the idea that we can vote and make a difference. That's not where the change is going to come from. It's going to be from us making little decisions.
Let me make a point here. If in Russia, with Putin having that much popularity, that would be an article saying that he's collecting indiscriminately information on all the Russians to use in his political
They think they're not?
vote. If there would be a proof to it, there would be changes in Russian government.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so the Russian people are way more. It's like saying, I'm wondering how East German people feel about getting
Russian
ID'd.
people went over in August of 1991 and stood in front of a tent, and the only thing that separated those people from being crushed was the conscience of the tanker who wouldn't move.
But they was
no, because they didn't want to kill their brethren. But these people, in packs, not one, not three, not four, they was ready to go and die for what they believe was right. They don't like Putin for him being oppressive. They like him for him being straight. And they like him because they believe that he's not using that type of things. They know that he's tough with his enemies, and they understand it. But
so Russian
if they
people
would
do
know
not
that he's sleeping in their bedrooms with them, there would be changes.
Really?
Yes.
You think?
Yes.
So the people don't think that the KGB's there anymore, the FSB, whatever they are. They're not surveilling them. China's got a camera on every freaking step. Okay, Russia's not going that route.
What I'm trying to say is not that Putin doesn't have it. What I'm trying to say is that people don't know about it.
Okay, well, I'm thinking if they don't know about it, then they need to know about it.
There's something about
If
Russian
Putin's
national
not
culture.
surveilling everybody, that'd be interesting.
No, he is, but people don't. There's no proof to that.
All right.
Okay, and
All
people in Russia, they're in a way very naive. They're nice people. They're very naive.
Yeah.
But when they have a proof that something like that is done to them, there is a blood on the streets.
Well, I'm going to challenge that a bit. And I definitely want to talk about Ukraine a little bit. That's a little bargaining chip here. But
Okay.
one of the whole reasons I'm even sitting here hanging out with Ernie is when I was in high school, I was privileged to meet a young student who came. I was in the honors history class at the time, and it was this interesting young guy who came from Ukraine, and his parents defected from Russia, although Gorbachev had just gotten in, so I'm not sure how bad it was they had to defect, but they did. And he came over, and he was 16 or something, and you could tell, his hair was different, his clothes were different, it was like right off the boat from Ukraine, and he's in 80s America with the poof hair, and you missed that time. Anyway, MTV. Anyway, the thing is this is going on, and he shows up, and I remember him standing out not only the way he looked and the way he acted, but Ronald Reagan was president, and every time President Reagan's name would be mentioned, he would stand up and he would salute the flag, and everyone's looking at him laughing. And my grandparents raised me, and they're from Poland, and that's another story, but I was respectful of him, and I got to talk to him, and he knew more about our country than any American I knew, right? He knew the Constitution inside and out. He joined the YAF, which is the Young Americans for Freedom. You're the card-carrying member. The kid's 16. He was here 6 months, and he's already like, you know what I'm saying? So I got chatting with him, and we became good friends. We eventually started watching the Morton Downey Jr. show together. That was cool at the time.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what started all this. Anyway, but we had a disagreement once, and it was about, I forget what the topic was, but it came down to what he believed was going on in America and what I believed based off of the media. And I said, and we had a disagreement. And I said, well, his name's Brian. I said, Brian, you're telling me I'm wrong, but you're getting your information from Pravda and the Russian sources. We all know Russian media is biased, and I'm coming from America media. And he says, the problem you have, Frank, as an American, is that we as Russians, the difference is we know we're being lied to. You Americans, the trap is you don't know you are. You think it's free. You think you're getting the real news. If you don't think there's a bias in the first place, you don't learn critical thinking skills. And that is, first off, I'm talking two things, but first off, Americans, for the first time, I mean, not people who listen to this show, thank you, audience, you're still listening, but people who do Freedom's Phoenix, they've known this for a while. But most Americans, like my mom and others, most Americans out there, it was only the last couple years that they began to realize that the media lies.
What you're saying.
So Russia.
What you missed in what I was saying.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a huge difference between a person who is making his decisions when he has a gun to his head and a person who is making his decisions when he's thinking that the gun might be there. You follow me? So right now, there's not so much fear in Russia that for you open your mouth, you're going to be simply shot. Your friend
I get
lived in a situation where there was so much fear that if you open your mouth, you're simply going to be shot, that people were scared.
Gotcha.
Okay? So you cannot judge people when you have literally a gun to their head. Right now, they don't have that gun. They might think they might got me there. But believe you me, if they found out that Mr. Putin is sleeping with them in their bedrooms, there is not going to be Mr. Putin there no more.
Well, Jeff Bezos is in my everybody's bedroom, not mine. But well, no, maybe I got a phone in there. That's Eric Schmidt.
Well, all I'm trying to say is, all I'm trying to say, let me finish, is if there is any American people are intelligent people, they understand that there are certain keywords in any email that you send that if that email is going to be open, there is a lot of information on you. You have an email from your doctor that you went over to check your blood on the subject of AIDS. You know, if your employer found out, you're probably not going to be hired, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, all I'm trying to say
I understand.
All
You
I'm
want to
trying
keep
to
some
say
stuff
is
private.
that information can be used against you at any time by somebody. And if you allow that to be done to you, then you have a basic problem of not respecting yourself.
That's a fair point. No, and that's what I think America, with this, not to get too much into Trump, but that's what this nationalist change has been. It's people waking up for the first time, realizing they've been lied to. I mean, remember, they never questioned the media.
Why then that those programs are signed off over and over and over again and allowed to continue over and over and over again? How many people was saved because of those programs?
What programs?
How many terrorist attacks was thwarted because of PRISM? How many terrorist attacks was thwarted because of PRISM?
I have no idea. None.
So I looked. I tried to find out. I don't think there is one definite terrorist act that was thwarted because of indiscriminate email collection.
Yeah, no, that's not their goal. You know, they use 9/11 as an excuse to take everything for everybody.
Absolutely.
And to think that Russian, a ex-KGB guy wouldn't do that, that'd be interesting.
He does it. He does it way more than the United States government now. He does it thanks to the scientists of the United States. Now he does it for the whole world. Well, he doesn't stop right now on Russians.
Okay, so I do disagree. I do agree. I think you made a good point about not respecting yourself with it, but I do think the core of American culture is waking up again from that slumber, and a lot of that slumber was the lack of critical thinking because they overly trusted the media, and now that's breaking.
So let me ask you another question then.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
But I still have my punchline I want to hit you with. But go ahead.
I'll ask you another question.
Sure.
Right now, thanks to certain things that, I'm not going to say that. Right now, about 100,000 people in the world knows about Osama bin Laden. About 100,000 people.
About what? Well, they don't know about Osama bin Laden. About what?
No, about him not being killed, that he was taken alive, that he was tortured for information in Libya, and so far and so on. That the whole Benghazi was botched up because of him and everything.
Okay.
Why American people don't know about it? Why even President Trump is scared to declassify that information?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's even true. I mean, he's afraid to declassify it, or even it's true. So I don't know. I can't, because you're making that claim, and if I ask you, you got it
based on
from,
what?
If you make it,
this is the claim. You have the claim, and in your documents here, there's a lot of conversation. Let me go ahead and recap for the audience. Okay. What he is saying is that there is video with the release of, if it wasn't Snowden, it was during the same time or something. There is release of video that has Osama bin Laden alive being taken to the helicopter. That, and you're going, why isn't that a big thing? And I'm going, all right, well, show me the video, I'll be all over it. I mean, so why would that?
He'll put it online.
Even the body of Osama bin Laden was buried, so to say, with only two people involved. One of them was a CIA agent, and the other one was a commander of the U.S. submarine. Nobody else so the body dropped into the water. The photos of Osama bin Laden dead, supposedly dead, are now in the archive of CIA, because archives of CIA cannot be subject to a Freedom of Information Act. Those photos, if released, would show that they doctored. After Osama bin Laden assassination, so-called, Al-Qaeda was decapitated. There was 27 Al-Qaeda generals who was either killed, drowned, or apprehended within the period of 6 months, when before, in a period of 8 years, only 2. The only place in the face of world that you could have interrogated Mr. bin Laden at the time without having a lot of attention was Libya, because of all the chaos over there. You couldn't send him to the Cuba, because then the whole Muslim insurgents would know about it. You couldn't bring him to the United States, because then you would have to have an approval of congressman to torture him. So at the time, the idea was brilliant to send him to Libya, where was so much chaos that nobody would notice. The problem was that Petraeus was not an intelligent operative. He was a military general. He knew as much about conducting intelligence and operation as I am a ballet dancer. So his all brilliant idea, he didn't figure out two things. First of all, that the first thing that Putin will ask himself a question, is it possible that bin Laden was killed? And then the other question is, well, what was the orders to those SEALs? The orders was one of three: kill him, bring him alive, or I don't care, dead or alive. Now, it's a CIA operation. Do they care about Osama bin Laden?
They want him alive.
They want him alive for information. What was the orders to those SEALs?
I have no idea. They're dead.
Yes, they're all dead. You're right. You're right. You read my book?
No, I knew.
Huh?
No, it's not. It's not a secret that they've been killed.
Wow.
Well, I'm out of loop.
Okay.
I thought the person shot him.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened then?
Yeah. Okay. So now, let me finish my point.
Read on television.
Yeah. Let me finish my point. So if
Okay, wait. Let's get on this point. As I recall, the SEAL team that went in and got Osama bin Laden, a whole bunch of them, a helicopter went down in Afghanistan or something,
yes.
and it killed almost all of them. There's a couple, and they just keep dropping.
I remember that.
You know, so well, I don't know how many, if any, are left over.
The helicopter operator was killed in Georgia in a different thing. One of the SEALs who was pretty much saying, "I'm gonna get killed," he got shot somewhere on the road. The Mr. Hastings, the Rolling Stones reporter Hastings, who was doing a story on Petraeus, his Mercedes-Benz hit the tree and blew up. And if you know anything about Mercedes-Benz 500 series, it simply doesn't blow up when it hits a tree.
This particular story was the witnesses, they believed the car was hacked and taken over and accelerated right into the bam, right when he's doing this investigative report. So it's not this is not secret.
No, I understand.
But
now what Mr. Putin asked himself a question is, the orders was for him to be taken alive. If the orders was for him to be taken alive, what's the chances that he got killed? And he said 0, because he knows what SEALs are. Okay, those SEALs, if there was 5 of them going over there, then all 5 would be dead, but Osama bin Laden would be alive in Langley, if the orders was that. The other thing was for Putin to figure out where is he at. And once he figured out where he's at, that was game changer. I'll put it this way: after Russians delivered bin Laden into Russian consulate in Benghazi, the consulate was attacked 3 times. According to a Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs, the consulate regular soldiers, which amount to 5 or 7, had successfully shoved the 3 attacks of over 100 people. Okay, if anybody believes that it was 7 people, the regular soldiers, and not the Russian Spetsnaz who was shoving those attacks, they're just naive. Anyway, that's as much as that's as much as I want to talk about Bin Laden. The other thing is I wanted to touch on that current impeachment that is going on, and everything that is going. Yeah. So the Ukraine is important. After I texted that Zelensky is a key to many answers, and he will probably cooperate and give all the information possible to the American Justice Department, because he has as much of crap over there in Ukraine with the corruption and deep state that Trump has here. Then the Justice Department started to look, and they found out that yes, the server is in Ukraine, that yes, there are certain things in Ukraine. Forget about Biden and his son. There are certain things tied up to a lot of current people in the government. They're just starting to unlocking Mr. Schiff's connection to Ukraine, but there was Mr. Obama's connection to Ukraine, and there is Hillary's connection to Ukraine. There is a connection to Ukraine with the origination of Mr. Steele's work. When I texted it about it, and they realized that all of that going on, they start to look at Ukraine. Now, the reason that we see all that resistance to Trump, when you say on Democrats, is not because they're trying to figure out what it is. The only reason is a fear, that's all. The fear for their own behind to be thrown in jail. That's the only reason. If Trump would be a regular player who would have exchanged for small favors, like I'm not going to look at certain things that you did if you leave me alone, none of that would go on, despite of them don't like Trump's policies. Everything's going on is because they simply are very concerned. Because if you look at it, Mr. Clapper was contacted by Geru, probably, I don't know exact day, but from the information I had, probably sometime as early as 2009. Okay, Mr. Clapper was a point man to Mr. Soros. For Mr. Soros being able to make all that money, because the only program that Mr. Snowden didn't disclose, that actually nobody still knows about it, was the program of monitoring the markets, not just American markets, the world markets, as a serious threat to American national security. Because after the 2007, they come with the idea that if we know where the market's gonna go, we can make certain moves for the markets not to collapse. So they decided to monitor the players on the market.
Of course they did. They have, the President's Council on blah, 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 the Plunge Protection Team, which is made up of the Commodities Exchange, New York Stock Exchange, and somebody exchange, they, them, those. Okay, and they decide and do. So this has been around since Black Monday back in the late 80s.
No, that's for America. I'm talking about global markets.
No, I understand. When in the mid-90s, they came up, there was a program, there was 2 of them. One was called Carnivore and one was called Epsilon.
Yes.
Echelon, something like that.
No, Echelon is Israeli.
Echelon.
The Echelon Israeli is completely different.
Well, this
Carnivore,
is let me finish my point. The Carnivore was sniffing for keywords of everybody. And if you watch the movie Swordfish with Halle Berry, John Travolta, and what was that Wolverine? What's his name? Hugh Jackman. Yeah, Hugh Jackman. Now, Carnivore was the motivation for him being a hacker, and all this kind of gave reference to it back then. Now, when we were activists in the mid-'90s and this came out, how it came out was Carnivore was one of the programs, but Echelon was...
No, there was never Echelon.
What was it called?
Echelon is a program that is between the United States and Israel, and it's completely different.
Okay,
It's-
well, just let... You know what? I'm going to push the button because I get to
ahead.
say my point,
Go
okay?
ahead.
This is my show. I get to say.
All right.
Echelon, what happened is a British Prime Minister, not Prime Minister, a Member of Parliament, an MP, gets up in Parliament and he says, you know, we know what you guys are doing in America. You guys suck and suck. Now, if it was an Israeli thing or whatever, I didn't know. But it was on the floor in the British Parliament that they outed this thing. And the reason is because Airbus was just getting going and starting and going to be a thing or something. And all the contracts for different contractors and so on that were out there, what they were doing is they said, you know, we got all these bids and stuff out here, but the U.S. manufacturers and all these big aerospace companies and defense military industrial contract they're underbidding us by, you know, like regularly within single digits percents of what the hell. What it was is that Echelon became a mechanism by which we could make money. The business of America's business, and what we're doing is we're surveilling all these different communications in the early days of the internet when it was starting to be used. And the reason I knew about it is because before that, there was a West German thing called Business Datenbanken. And this is when I first started getting active in my father's company and all this kind of stuff. And what happened was, the Germans in Europe was looking at the internet differently as being a mechanism for manufacturing and commerce and more what it had become now, where America saw it as surveillance. You know, this is, if you weren't on AOL and you didn't get your AOL disk, we didn't want you on the internet anyway. You know, we need you, we know where you is. So this Echelon thing demonstrated, regardless of where it came and who did what and whatever, doesn't matter, Echelon demonstrated the knowledge of the member of parliament that got up and said, look, the United States government is taking advantage of their access to all our communications to underbid all these contracts. So I'm going, okay, well, there's that. You know, I'm going, oh, they wouldn't do that. That'd be wrong, you know. So, of course, they're doing it. So this was what, 25 years ago. So you think it's gotten more sophisticated since then? Hell yeah. You know, hell, Facebook wants to read my mind. You know, so, literally.
Well, I was wrong about Echelon. You was right. I mixed the other program, but you was right. Second of all, my point was that Mr. Klopper was a point man to Mr. Soros. When Mr. Soros made all his money, Mr. Klopper had very little less money made, but he also made a lot of money, and the accounts was in the Soros fund. The fund was shut down after Dodd-Frank's Act that required Mr. Soros to publish the name of the fund members. So he seemed to shut down the fund. So once Mr. Putin found out that Mr. Soros made all that money and Mr. Klopper was the point man, it was just a matter of time for Mr. Klopper to start to cooperating with Russian intelligence. So the Snowden was only a figure that could be pointed to as to how all this information is known by Russian intelligence.
Okay, so the information was not leaked by Snowden, just the program, but because of Snowden doing it, they're trying to blame Snowden for the Russians getting all the data.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
got it.
So now, after Mr. Snowden went with his disclosures, that was part of the operation. Obviously, the master codes was changed. The master codes are the back codes that only few people in the United States have access to. the head of national intelligence, the head of NSA, the head of CIA, and the president of the United States. So
I think they should be changing these codes a lot more often.
no, the regular codes. Like there are different types of codes for different type of programs. So there are codes that change on a daily basis. There are codes that change on a weekly
So
basis.
you mean the root backdoor?
There is a
whatever.
master codes that was only changed first time ever after Snowden disclosures. So now Mr. Putin doesn't have those master codes, although he have enough information for blackmailing anybody in the United States. He's not getting the information that he needs because Mr. Putin had organized literally thousands of trade houses over the world, a fast trader houses where they was trading in small amounts, like from $500,000 to $5 million amounts, based on the information that Mr. Putin was able to collect. And that's how he made his $200 billion. So now he doesn't have that information. He cannot continue making money, so he needs that. That's why Mr. Clapper traveled to North Korea to free the priest. Where in North Korea, he had met Kim Jong-un, who was a head of North Korean equivalent of NSA, a famous man who is now believed to be dead. But anyway, that's where he delivered the codes, and that's how Putin. Now he doesn't need those codes. Now he has his own programs. Now he has the blueprints.
So he got the blueprints from. See what Snowden did. Did he give the actual programs, the code to the programs, or did he just have?
Snowden did nothing. All Snowden did is he delivered the information to a couple of reporters, and he gave them the keys to the information when he wanted to give them. In other words, when Putin wanted to give him the keys. In other words, nobody in Guardian or Washington Post, I don't care, they can independently went and look of what he gave them. He gave them a disk, and he gave him another disk and another disk, and then he calls, here's the key to that disk, go ahead and publish it. And now in 3 days that program is published, and now in another 2 days America is caving on Iran or Syria or Ukraine. That's all he did. Snowden by himself knows nothing. He has no codes. He's a very small man.
So he just had the PowerPoints on what the programs were.
Yeah, but one thing about Snowden is that he first started to make moves sometime when he was a CIA agent. And CIA opened an investigation on Mr. Snowden. And that investigation was closed without conclusion, and he was transferred to work as an NSA contractor. Now, that probably was the only time when the investigation was opened by CIA was closed inconclusively.
So one of the questions I want to ask you was with Snowden. What is it's pretty obvious. Obviously, he's a tool for Putin and Russia. In a
He's
sense.
a Russian agent.
But that's why I wanted to ask you. What is what do you think
Snowden?
his relationship is with
Yes.
Russia? Is a Russian agent, or what's the long goal of Putin having him there?
The long goal was to go with that disclosures for as long as possible to continue to blackmail the American administration, whatever the administration is going to be. But I pretty much went over in 2015. I went over to FBI, and I gave him the whole thing. And that's when Putin stopped. After I went to FBI in March of 2015, you can look. Shortly after, Snowden disclosure stopped because it was no point.
Okay, now we've published, so people know. We took all the everything that he sent us. He said, all right, here we go, and I put it up. Now, somebody wants to help. If you're going to put this into some kind of book form, what would the perspective be? As a narrative, as a, from, why? Why are you doing this? What's the motivation to what more because of what? See, I don't know how you're going to write a book, and you're not going to tell how you got the information.
It makes no difference how you get the information.
Oh, well, it's got to be validated, or you validate, or why do I even care what you think?
It's very easy to validate it. If I'm sending an email about the, for example, that whistleblower report to the Congress that there's going to be impeachment proceeding, and I'm sending that email before the Congress actually received the whistleblower report, then obviously somehow I know about that.
Right.
Okay, if I'm sending an email of a coup in November 16, then obviously somehow I know about it. If I'm sending an email of what they're planning to do on December 12th, and Klopper's having a meeting at that time, I'm sending an email, and he's caught on Peter's truck, then something's going on.
So why are you doing this?
The reason I'm doing it is many different reasons, but the most important is...
Well, I mean, is this information... Let me ask this question, too. Are you requesting this information from someone, or they are just giving it to you, hoping you'll do something?
I'm sorry, I can't discuss
So are you getting...
But to answer your question, why I'm doing it, I've been in different situations in my life, and I learned one thing in my life, that freedom cannot be inherited. You have to fight for your freedom. And if you don't fight for your freedom, then one perfect morning you're going to wake up a slave. And if you don't want to wake up a slave one perfect morning, you have to do something about it. That's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing.
Fair enough. And I find that more and more from people who've come from ex-Soviet bloc nations who come to America. They're the ones that recognize the follies and the trappings we've run into more than Americans. I've had many, you don't know, but I'm a physician, and I believe, despite my dress today, and I deal with a lot of older men with prostate cancer, and many times I see older men from ex-Soviet Union countries.
Where are you a physician at?
I just got it from Pep Boys, my doctorate. But we'll talk later off the air. But the point is
These
that
men's health, prostate, stuff.
the point is when I see
father, okay.
Well, Jewish people don't get prostate cancer much, but we'll talk later.
My father did.
Yeah. Well, getting me all excited about PSAs. So, but the thing is, I deal with older men mostly, and even growing up, and from the old world. And I said my grandparents from Poland, and blah blah blah. The thing is that they, I'm amazed how many people from those countries come here, and they respect this country enough in a sense where they feel like they're in someone else's house. They don't want to throw shade, as we say, or complain. Although today, people from other countries, the leftists, it's all complain about everything. But people come from other countries, honored that we have a home for them. They're here, but they don't want to complain about the country that took them in. Yet they're the first ones that are the canaries in the coal mine, saying we escaped this crap, and now we're here watching you people make the same mistakes. So I think I say this to many people, to listen to people who've come from the Eastern European nations, because they've been there and they see it. So whether you directly were there or not, or I'm sure you had loved ones that did. So I definitely respect that part. Two questions similarly with this. What have you received? You keep talking about that you've gone to the FBI. You've mentioned, you said you give this information. Do you ever get responses from these people? Do they know you exist, or are you just sending it to the ether?
No, I did get responses.
Okay, so you're getting responses. So
Are there in the documents? Are there responses from anybody?
But if you want to, there was letters and
and
visits
whatever.
and.
I'm not even asking necessarily for confirmation, although that would be nice. But it's more just to get a sense of, do they know you exist? Because if you have all this interesting information, I figure they'd be.
They're going to torture the crap out of you and find out who's sending it to you and how and where and what and kind of.
They cannot.
Okay, they cannot. So let me ask you a big question, a big picture question, and it's going to be really general, and I'm really curious your answer. Here we go. Are you ready? Sit down. All right. What is your opinion of Donald Trump? Like, what did you think about that election with him as president? Do you see it as an outsider, or do you see it as an American? You are an American, you've been here a long time.
Honestly?
But honestly, I'm curious what you think.
I'm going to give you my opinion because I'm an Orthodox Jew. Mm-hmm. I believe that Donald Trump was the last chance that God gave to this country. That's what I believe.
He was a what?
The last chance that God gave to this
Last
country.
chance.
Yeah.
Now is the last chance. It might be chance using the electoral process.
No.
It might be.
No,
You think that's it?
No, this country. Let me tell you something. On the day of the
See,
election.
this is one thing I want to. All right, go ahead. I
On
gotta
the day
make a
of the
point. Go ahead.
election, on November 8th, when the polls was coming in, I told my wife that I'm purchasing a ticket to Israel. She said, "For how long we going?" And I said, "I'm purchasing a one-way ticket." And it's not a joke.
No, I know. It's an American laugh. Don't worry about it.
It's not a joke at all.
I'm laughing at the absurdity that you had to do that.
They're not coming to my yeshiva and telling me that I have to have a transgender bathroom there. I'm sorry. That's not happening to me. They're not coming to me and telling me that I have to do these things that I don't want to do.
Okay,
The only reason
wait.
I
You
came-
thought. Okay, why would you think that at the election night or day after for
Because
Trump?
that's what would have happened in 2 years if Clinton would have won.
Oh, okay. So you were like if the Clinton would have won.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I said. But at the morning, when the results was coming in the morning, you look at all those results. You know, I myself personally.
So you
I
thought Clinton was
sure
going to win?
Trump was going to win. I was like 100%. But
You
when,
did too, yeah.
but when because I had the polling, the real polling. But when but you can't ignore the facts
Right.
when they're coming in the morning and he's as far down as 7 to 10%. I looked at my wife and said, "Listen, I've been misinformed, so that's what's going to happen. We have 3 kids, we're moving. Okay, we don't have a lot of money, probably no money at all, but that's what we have to do. Because the only reason I left Russia was not because I was poor, or not because I actually was doing very good when I was in Russia. I didn't left Russia because I felt like economically my life wasn't there. I left Russia because for only one reason, and the only reason I didn't come to Israel, and I came to the United States for the same reason. I don't want the government to be out my behind. I want to be left by myself. If I fail, I fail. If I don't, I don't. But I don't want them to tell me what to do.
Let me ask you, why did you come to America back in the 90s?
Because that was the only country in the face of the earth that the government wouldn't tell me what to do. Even in Israel, they would tell me what to do. I was in Israel. I was.
Back then in the 90s, yeah.
Have you visited?
Even now, they're going to tell me.
Were you
what to do.
educated here? Have you visited the U.S.
No,
before?
I
Did you?
wasn't educated in no way. It was August 18th of 1991. It was my 25th birthday. I saw tanks in the streets of Moscow. When I get out of my balcony, I was living in a very nice place, and I had a little bit of vodka because it was my birthday, but I became very sober when I saw tanks, and I went over to the airport. I got myself a ticket, and in September I left.
Did you claim political asylum? Did
Yeah,
you
I came to.
go through?
Well, I had relatives. I applied for the I-551, I believe, form, and they gave it to me, and I got a green card. I became a citizen. That's what happened.
Well,
to me.
the thing is, I mean, all you had to do was come up through Mexico.
That's the thing that see what
You don't have to do all that.
No, but what a lot of people in the United States don't
Build a wall.
understand that America is a country, a unique country in the world. America is the only country that is combined of different cultures and combined of different languages and different backgrounds.
Well, do you think there should be a wall?
And the only thing that identify America as America is a belief that American has that all the people are born equally under God, and they all have rights. And the other thing that keeps America is America's sovereignty. If you don't have the sovereignty, there is no America. For a person from Russia, it's as clear as water is liquid. It's not a country that have one Russian language or one English language and has one Russian literature.
Well, how did you learn English?
I watched cartoons.
Okay, so you came here before you learned English.
I came here with 25 words.
Yeah, ¿Dónde está la casa de Pepe?
Okay. So I have a greatest respect for the immigrants. The problem is that if you want to come to this country because you feel oppressed, one thing. If you won't come to this country because you don't make enough money, okay, I can agree with it. But if you want to come to this country because you don't have to do nothing to receive more income than you're receiving in the country you at, working hard, then I have a problem with that. And people don't understand it, but the reason that there's certain political pressure of bringing all the poor people, I don't care you're Mexican or Chinese, as long as you're poor and not educated, okay, and you have a family of 4, you're gonna vote one way. Because once you step your foot in the airport in New York, you're entitled, whether you're legal or illegal, to about $3,400 equivalent of the money that in your country you have to work 3 months for, hard work. Here you're getting it for free.
So you're kind of this Ayn Rand realization of what's going to happen to America. I know because I've seen this before. I came from Russia. You're doing the same crap. The same results going to happen, and you shouldn't do this. And I want to help.
Yes.
Because I live here now.
Than that.
I live here now.
It's a little bit bigger than that. There is a certain realization.
Bigger than what? Bigger than I want to be left alone in America? Or you're trying to save Congo or what?
No. There's this little so it originally started because of the realization of what Mr. Putin has in plans for the world. And I'm sorry, but having 35% of a population dying from hunger and things is a little bit more than I can handle.
Well, is that something that he predicts or he is trying to instill?
No, that is something that he wants. It's not something he predicts. That's a plan. That's a plan to build a new world. So American
economy must die.
Yes. The world economy must die.
Well, I don't think it needs a whole lot of his help to do it. I mean,
not a lot, but it needs a push.
What the Joker said. All you need is a little push.
Yeah,
there we go.
I like cheap stuff. Gasoline and dynamite. I'm all good. It doesn't cost that much.
So I would disagree with you big time about America. It doesn't really have a culture or a mixed culture, but I'll save that for another time.
Well, no, that is the culture. Well, freedom is a culture.
But it's a culture that is melded from different cultures.
Well, I'll going to skip that debate. But I'm going to throw, speaking of culture, I'm going to throw a question to you that, since I think you're the highest ranking Jewish person here. Donna, you're not Jewish, are you?
Yeah.
All right. I think you're the highest ranking, so you win. So I'm going to ask you a question. So one of my mentors, his name was Irv Homer, and he was a libertarian talk show host or conservative libertarian from Philadelphia. And he was a business owner, ran a bar, but he was a man of the people, and he eventually was on the radio, and he had the #1 radio program in the East Coast for like a decade. This is before Clear Channel and Rush Limbaugh and all that. He was just a real authentic guy. Anyway, I learned a lot from him. And Schindler's List came out. I'm sure you may have seen it. But Schindler's List was going to be shown on ABC News, or not even News, ABC Network in its entirety, including the nudity that was going to be in, and a bunch of idiots were complaining about nudity and all that in the show. So anyway, it was being talked about, and Irv Homer, being Jewish, sat there and he put out this anger he had with the Jewish community, and he said, "Look," and I'm paraphrasing, but basically, when you see Schindler's List, and I feel the same way.
Where are the guns?
Schindler's List is nothing. It's not, to me, it's Spielberg's 2.5-hour commercial for the NRA. That's what Schindler's. It's in black and white, glorious, but it's a commercial for the NRA. It basically shows, unfortunately, you've got the Jewish people that are being rounded up, and the first thing they do is they say Mao, Stalin, and Hitler. The first thing they did is they all in favor of gun control, right? So they take away the guns, and then, of course, you can't defend yourself. And you see at the most abysmal level of what humanity can do to other human beings is, they're stripped down and heard it, unfortunately, and you see what happens. I'm obviously in a movie like that. And I sit back, and we as Americans, and God knows it's not like their fault with this, but he's just sitting watching this going, damn, if they just had a gun, at least you go down shooting and you defend yourself in principle, but they've took all that away, everything, just everything. So I sit back and I watch that. And Irv Homer would sit back and say, all of you Jews here in America, especially the East Coast, New York, Jewish community and such, they say, look, you guys all talk about doing your pilgrimage to Israel. They always had, most Jewish people, I think, at least try to go there one time. They want Schindler's List to be shown in the schools. They say never again, never again. And yet the number one rallying cry of East Coast, especially, or maybe liberal Jews in this country, is gun control. And you sit back and I sit there and you watch the movie, and there's like a disconnect.
No, there's a...
And that, wait, one last thing. And then you've got the Jewish community now, or the East Coast, or liberal community, that is still bashing Donald Trump as he's sitting here supporting Israel and all the things recently. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. I have Jewish friends I grew up with who are Democrats bashing the president, and these are the same presidents supporting Israel that when I grew up with, all they did, they sat there and they said, I can't marry this woman, I love her, but she's not Jewish, I have to stick to the Jewish faith and the culture. And here's a president supporting it at its roots, and they're not supporting him. So what is going on in, maybe not that you're necessarily representative of the East Coast Jewish community, the Woody Allen world here, but I'm just curious, what is your take on the community in America?
So there are two parts of your question.
Sure.
As far as the guns, even if every Jew in 1939 would have had a tank and a platoon of bodyguards, that would have happened. Because Jewish people are not part of the regular history laws.
Part of the regular history, what?
Laws. The regular history laws don't apply to Jewish nation. So that what I don't know the reasons why Almighty did that. Obviously, there was a reasons, and obviously, if you open the Torah, you can see that those reasons was enumerated in chapter Vaithanan and in chapter Hitavo. And everything that is there happened through the course of Jewish history. It's personal for me because my family was the only part of the only few who survived the I don't know how to say it. In September 14 of 1941, the SS came in to the village on Nagartav, and my grandfather had forces, and there was my father and my uncle and my grandmother and her sister and her family was saved, but the rest of them was methodically killed one by one, everybody. So I don't have an answer to that question, I'm sorry. I can tell you, but it's definitely not a gun control. I can tell you that.
What do you mean definitely not gun control? Wait a minute,
The gun, as I said, if Jews would have all the guns in the world, that same thing would have happened to them.
Well, saying maybe
yeah, but I don't need a government telling me I can't.
It's a total different story. I'm just telling you that your example here, I'm giving you. Let me finish about the modern Jews.
Thank you. That's my question.
Majority of Orthodoxes would not vote Democrats. Majority of non-Orthodoxes would vote Democrats. And the reason is majority of secular Jews would vote Democrats. Majority of Orthodox Jews would not vote Democrats.
Like Ben Shapiro.
Not just Ben Shapiro, but
I mean, this comes to mind.
But majority, the great majority. The reasons are because the Orthodox goes by the law of Lord, and you can see the clear violation by Democratic Party platform of the laws of Lord. The non-Orthodox, they don't want to go by law of Lord because it's sometimes very difficult. I don't judge nobody, but any time that you know that you do something wrong, you're looking for excuse. And the Democratic Party given the excuse. That's all it is. You don't have to have a master above you. You can do whatever you want. It's okay. You can do all the abominations in the world. It's okay.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of... I mean, I'm familiar enough with the Old Testament. There's a lot of history where the Jewish people defended themselves, fought back, hell, even aggressed, especially, you know.
Sure.
So
I'm not talking about... You didn't get what I said.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're saying they had all their guns.
Jewish people had conquered the world during the Shlomo Melech time. I'm not talking about that. King
No,
David...
let me phrase my question, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and you can answer it.
Okay.
This is what we're talking about. Is there here in America? There's a organization called JPFO, Jews for the Preservation of Firearm Ownership.
Okay.
What happened? They published the law, the 1968 gun regulation of whatever. Back in 60, it was after RFK was killed, so they were able to pass this. Well, during that, they published the gun control legislation from Nazi Germany, and they translated each page. You turned the page, it was almost identical.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So they brought this in. They're going, wow, this is a good way. I like the way they did it, you know? Now, the fact that there's a law, or whether there wasn't a law and the Jewish community had guns or had access to them, you're saying it wouldn't matter because they wouldn't have used them, or they wouldn't have...
No, it's not used them.
Then what are you saying? Why wouldn't it matter?
When God decided that that's going to happen, that's going to happen. That's all it is.
So Jews are perpetual victims forever and always, and that's your role, and get over it.
Okay, I'll give it to you a different way. In Warsaw Ghetto, the group of Beitar had organized the uprising. They had guns.
They took butter knives and got them from the Germans. They got guns.
They got guns. Okay. No, they had drops from, I believe, Brits and Americans that guns was dropping to them. And they did that uprising. And all they needed was a little help, and they never got that help. I've been in a few places. Gun is important. It's an equalizer to a degree. There is a different connection between Jews and God. So whenever God decides to do something for the Jewish people to change, that's going to happen. And unfortunately, it's going to happen whether you have the guns or not.
So their mind... See, my thing is that the gun issue is... that's not even the point.
It works very good for the rest of the world. Don't understand me wrong. What I'm trying to say that there is a completely different laws that goes with Jewish nation. There is no other nation in the world that even survived without having a country and spread out all over the world. You can't close your eyes on certain facts.
This is my point. Let me. I can push the button. This is my point. This is the Jewish community being a nation. It's also a race, not just a religion. It's also a race. But they're kind of like, we're gonna kind of take that race thing and set that over here. So we're gonna have a Jewish faith. Okay. So
wrong. If you're born by the Jewish body, if you're born by the Jewish mother, you're gonna be Jewish regardless of what you think is your relationship to God. And at the end of the day, you're gonna die Jewish.
Let's make that point. Is the Jewish community a race or a religion?
Both.
Can I be Jewish and not be Jewish by race?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying being born of a Jewish mother, that makes you part of the Jewish race? Or
if you are born by Jewish mother, then you have no way out. You're a Jew.
Okay, you're done.
Mind you, definitely.
Yeah, you got clipped, man. You're done.
If you're born by a Jewish father, you're a Jew. That's it.
Okay. So
But you don't have to be born by a Jewish mother to become a Jew. If you realize that.
no, I've known people who have converted to Judaism.
Yes.
But
once you converted,
once you converted, you also don't. But once you converted, you also don't have a way out. You can 2 years later decide that's not for me.
You don't have a way out. I am of the opinion that all human beings, regardless, are looking for the ability to be left alone. I can be part of a community. I could be,
100% agree.
I could do whatever. What's the entrance exam for me to be part of this community? Okay.
100%.
So did I pass? I mean, do I even want to take the test? I mean, so in America, whether it's true or not is not even the point. The rhetoric that we're the greatest America and the shining light on the hill and make America great again, we're the greatest of great, and that comes down to certain things. One of those things is defense of individual rights, that you get to protect you and yours, and the purpose of government is not to take it away, but to allow you the right to defend it, and if you need a court, we'll go through that process. In other countries, it's more like, you're lucky we even allow you to keep anything. You belong to us as well, including all your stuff, and then we're going to redistribute it however the hell we want. That is a philosophy that's starting to try to be implemented on America. But it changes our very core. When you talk about if you don't have borders, you don't have America, you got to have a country, you got to have sovereignty and all this kind of stuff, where you yourself says the Jewish community was borderless. It went around the world, it had all this influence, and then they reconstituted the state of Israel, and that's a whole other thing. But I am going, America, its idea, if we didn't have, I remember in Spartacus, where Laurence Olivier played a Roman senator or whatever, and he gets it. If Rome didn't exist, we would dream of her. And I'm thinking America's the same way. If it didn't exist, it would exist in our minds as a philosophy.
Yes.
That's what created America. If America falls, America what? America in her interest, America Inc., America geography, America. See, none of that means anything to me. What is important to me is the philosophy that America promised in its documents. If it doesn't do that, screw them, okay? I don't care. I don't have any allegiance to some flag. I'm not goose-stepping, to the pledge, and my kids and grandkids of doing it kind of
that.
No, I am not.
Yes,
no,
you are.
No, you think
Yes,
I am.
you
Your
are.
opinion, I am
Just
wrong.
stepped in and buddy.
Your
Yes,
opinion,
you are.
I am
No,
wrong.
it's not an
But
opinion.
in my opinion,
No.
I am absolutely
Now,
correct.
you have to be proud of the country that America is.
All right, here it comes.
here it goes.
I told you, here it comes.
I'm on your side, buddy.
Why? Why?
Because
I
of
have
what
to
you
be
said.
proud of it. Why?
Because of what you said.
What?
Because of what you said. Because America was built on a principle of justice.
So was Nazi Germany.
No, absolutely not.
Well, you think German people were always corrupt?
No. Nazi Germany was not built on a principle of justice. It was built on principle of injustice.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So-
America was built on principle of justice, equal opportunities, and perceivedness of happiness. And if you can give that to your people, then you have something to be proud of.
We still got that? Are we there?
We're still there.
Are we there yet?
That's why I'm in this. That's why I'm here and in Jerusalem.
And this is why I wanted to do this show.
When I say here, I'm talking about your show.
No, I understand. My thing is that how this came to us. We probably should talk about this more. Acquaintance, someone that frequents the radio show and the site and everything, had talked to you. How did that come about, anyway?
He bought a car from me.
He bought a what?
He bought a car from me.
Okay, so he knows who you
then
are.
He decided that he doesn't want a car, so I gave him his money back.
Yeah, whatever. Sounds like
But
this
then
guy.
I found
anyway.
out who he is, and I liked that he carried the assault rifle in the airport.
Right.
It takes certain amount.
Okay, so his initials are Peter Steinmetz. Anyway, he's a a brain researcher at Barrows, and he can't freaking say. I just saw him Monday at the discussion group. He's going on about whatever on this vaccine thing. Man, he wasn't digging it. But anyway, so when he said, yeah, you need to talk to him, I'm already kind of, it was an interesting conversation. I'm sure you already had with him. But I'm going, all right, as a favor to him, because he is an activist, he does take this stuff seriously. I'm going, okay, I'll talk to the guy. So we've been talking, and what really, he wanted me to do is he wanted me to, dissect, go through, memorize, and read all this stuff of Boris's. And I'm going, look, man, you send me the stuff, we'll talk about it. That's why I got a radio show, and this is right up, Frank's alley. So I go, we do a late night Trump report, make up for, you being, moving and stuff. So I'm going, yeah, Frank, come in and help me, and we'll go through all this. Now, basically, of all of this, you are an Orthodox Russian Jew that at 21 left 25, early 20s, mid-20s, you leave Russia, there's tanks out in the front, and you're kind of, man, peace out, I'm out of here. I am a young man that is independent of mind and spirit. I want to be left alone. Russia's not going to leave me alone. Israel's not going to leave me alone. I'd go America. Okay, I got family there. We'll go to America. As you're here, like with a lot of people that get transplanted, they go, wow, man, this is freaking awesome right up until it's not. Something you're going, this is going down the dark side. I've seen this before. I've seen this so much before, it seems like the same thing. You start looking, people send you information, you know who to ask, somebody knows they got somebody in America that cares, you're transmitting ones and zeros on the internet or whatever the hell you're doing, and you're like, you accumulate in whatever way you get it, this information. You're going, I think I see what's going on. Putin wants to, I don't know, whatever.
No, I never make the conclusions.
Somebody,
whatever I say, it's not what I think. Whatever is there that you read, it's not what I think. I say but it's not what I think.
Okay.
I never make conclusions.
Okay, well, I don't know if I said that you did. But anyway, so here we have methods that are recognizable to you, and you understand what the disposition, goals, and desire of Putin is, and you're going,
it's not me again.
So why are you relaying this information if you don't agree with it?
I agree with it, but I don't make this analysis. I'm a very simple guy. I'm way, way, way smaller than those analyses are.
I don't understand what I'm saying that's causing you to even inject this. I'm not saying you're any conclusion. You have this information you wish to share. Either you do wish to share it or you do not wish to share it.
I have that information.
You do wish to share it or you do not wish to share it. Why do you want to share it?
That's a different story. But it's not.
Okay, why do you want to share it? You share lies or you share truth?
No, it's truth. But
okay, then you want to share the truth.
Yes.
Why do you want to share the truth?
Why I want to share the truth? Because it's important.
Why?
Different reasons. One of the reasons is I don't want the road to the way I know it to come to the end.
Okay, so let me finish my statement. So here we have someone that has this information that does wish to share it because it's true and will have an impact on what?
Well, so far it had impact on, if I wouldn't did what I did in November of 2016, then in January 14, the operation, you can't translate it from Russian. It's S Легким паром. There was a movie, S Легким паром means somebody who just get out of a sauna, but you can translate it. It also called S Легким паром or Old New Year. In the Russian calendar, Old New Year, according to the old calendar, Gregorian calendar, it's on 14th of January. So on 14th of January of 2017, United States Congress was supposed to pass an amendment to the Constitution of the United States that would allow President Obama to stay in office for another 2 years due to the disqualification of a president-elect.
That is definitely not understanding America.
Okay.
That is no way in hell. I'd like to have seen that. That'd been entertainment.
Okay. So that was supposed to happen, and the
In their
new election.
dream.
No. It's
Now,
not a
see,
dream.
this is the hubris of these people, that some of these things that they think because they think of it and they do all this machinations.
It's very easy. It's very
Fair-
easy.
yeah,
It's
right.
very easy. If Clinton is elected, then Mr. Comey comes in with explosive material. That's why
No,
they were
I
sitting,
understand.
That's why they were sitting on Mr. Venus' computers for
I
all that
understand.
time
These
without looking
freaking
at.
pedophile scumbag pieces
No,
of
no,
crap
no,
that
no,
do
no, no,
whatever,
no, no, no.
and this guy's a piece of crap. Therefore, we need to change the Constitution so Obama can get another administration.
No, absolutely not. Not like that.
Okay, well,
so
how
now
the
you
hell
have-
are you
you
going to
have
give
a
Obama
president-
another
you
administration?
have a president-elect under indictment. Okay, for whatever reason, either it's Clinton or Trump. Okay, so now you have to find a solution. Either you go with the vice president, who is either Mr. Pence or at the time Tim Kaine, I believe was. Okay, that is not going to be accepted by majority of the American people, or you have a solution that is going to be accepted by majority of American people and all the parties.
No, it's not. And it's not because of an individual. They will not accept a change of the Constitution to have Obama go another 4 years. That was a threat that conspiracy people brought
It's
up.
not a
They'll
conspiracy,
stay.
people. It was happening.
No, and the people were saying, hell freaking no.
No, it was
Yeah,
happening.
okay, that's your opinion.
No, it's not an opinion.
That's your opinion.
No, it's not an opinion.
That's your opinion. Okay, what is it?
It's not an opinion.
What is it?
The Congress would have voted for that. That's why all those
In your opinion, did they vote for it?
No, they
Then it's
didn't,
an
they
opinion.
didn't need to. But listen, all those congressmen, they decided that they're not going to run. Once I started to send those, once I sent all that information to the Congress, the 80% of the people who was supposed to vote for it, they simply didn't run.
Oh, so that's why they, a lot of these people, they were already in on
if you look at statistically, you have an unprecedented number of exodus of a Congress
Bye-bye.
that never happened before.
Well, I don't know if
The
it's
ship
all
is
about that
sinking.
specific issue. Now you're talking about the culture issue, and you talked about how Americans, how we seem to be accepting. It was a good point you said. We're accepting some of the government intrusion and just being lazy or disrespectful.
No, it's not this accepting. Look also at the December resolution of change of a succession in the Department of Homeland Security. You also have to look at that.
Okay, what?
So there was a in December of 2016, signed by President Obama, resolution of the succession in Department of Homeland Security, change of succession. The reason it was done because they wasn't thinking that it's going to go smoothly.
Okay, well,
So in case whoever the powers to be, wasn't only with Homeland Security, but in case whoever the powers to be would not shoot an American people, there was a succession.
Okay. Well, let me get back down to that point. My issue was that you were saying how if Americans found that the issue seems to be is that they're being presented with information that the government is looking in on them, and they seem to be laying down and showing almost like a sense of disrespect of themselves. This is a very good point. Whereas you said the Russian people, they wouldn't if they found out. The issue is they just don't know, assuming that it's happening.
They're very simple people, Russians.
I'm sorry?
They're very simple people,
Well,
very naive.
okay, so-
very naive.
Okay.
Very smart in its
let
certain
Frank
ways,
make his
but very
point.
naive.
All right,
Go.
all right. So you're making that distinction and that to me is a cultural difference that we're seeing, right? That Americans, for whatever reason, are laying down with information they have. Russians are not wouldn't lay down, but they don't necessarily have the information. So that to me is part of a cultural issue. Now let's get to the point you were arguing with Ernie about that. Oh well, the establishment politicians were getting ready to change it so Obama could be there forever or
Not
whatever.
forever, just for 2 years.
All right. Well, once you open it to 2 years, it gets
once you do it once.
But you're saying that of course they were getting ready to do it and they were going to let it happen. My argument would be, and what Ernie's saying is, our culture is so embedded in us. Heck, we overthrew the British Empire with all the rejects
Yeah, I'm like,
from
bring
around
it
the world.
on!
Say, it's part. I mean, our country's made up of people that say screw you and then we want it our way. that if they tried to do it, they'd be thrown out. I mean, as a matter of fact, if they really tried to do something close to that, we might do something really crazy and put a reality show star as president. That's the type of country that we are to do that. Because
Ukraine got a comedian.
Because
they take it under consideration.
But it failed because America says hell no, never gonna happen. Wait.
No, he's saying it failed because of him.
Okay.
Now forget about it.
Wait.
Is it failing now?
Wait. Let me
Is it failing now? Is it failing now? If right now there would be instead of 52 Republican senators, there would be 35. Would it fail?
Well, you're assuming the whole thing was over this vote of something that my argument is it would never happen.
Trump is impeached right now, and there would be 35 people who would be against impeachment. Would it fail?
Well, what fail?
You mean the trial in the Senate?
Yes. Would impeachment fail? It's a clear coup. It's a clear undermining of the 2016 election.
Wait. I just want to finish the point. Let me just finish the point.
Okay. I'm going to turn his mic off. Go.
What I'm trying to get to is, if on one hand you're saying that we're all, I'm making a point of the culture, that Americans don't see they see what's in front of them, they don't care, whereas Russians just wouldn't put up with it, but they don't see it. And that's a distinction which is cultural. Now we're talking about the issue of you're not believing us as Americans or people that saw Trump. I'm like, Trump's going to win because it's the culture he's tapping into. Trump is not the abnormality or the phenomena like the abnormality. What the abnormality was the establishment that somehow, through the apathy of Americans, that took control. So someone like Putin sits back and thinks that's normal. That's who America is. It really isn't. That's the veneer on top of the core. And why I think it's different is because going to culture of Russia is that the Russian people, maybe this is why you find it so easy to think that we would accept it if Congress just passed a law that was not going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's because Russia. Wait. I'm not done.
You're my
How many terms has Putin been there? When is his term up? Because to me, because to me, he is bullying himself to stay in power. My issue is is that Russia would look at that as the ultimate alarm bell, and we sit back similarly and say, because we would never put up with it, as Russians wouldn't put up with the other component.
All right.
You see my point.
But to answer your question,
into the mic.
I want to ask you a question.
Into the mic.
I want to ask you a question. How many people you think in the United States gonna go up with arms in case they would have been presented with that Congress on January 14 of 2017?
That's not the threat. They need relevance. They need legitimacy.
There is a legitimacy.
There is a legitimacy. Congress voting the thing. See, this is where you don't understand.
No. There is no.
No, you're gonna go to America. You got a Russian Orthodox Jew is going to tell an American talk show host and activist for 30 years and a doctor that's lived around the world and say you don't know what America would do or how what they believe.
What would they do?
Nothing. They'd ignore the crap out of them. This is my point. You think that something has to be done. I go, they suck a lot more now.
No, what my question is what did people in the United States did when they passed an Obamacare?
They don't buy Obamacare.
They had to.
It's dying.
Till Trump.
I don't.
Till Trump came in, they had to.
I didn't.
Okay, so you cheated the IRS.
I didn't cheat nothing. It cost me $119.
Okay.
I wrote the check, and I go, screw you.
Okay,
and they said the next year it's going to be more, and then the next year it's going to be more, and then it wasn't. And I go, aha, I win. Screw you.
Bad example, Ernie.
That's exactly my point. You're thinking just because they passed a law, all of a sudden America's going to go Sieg Heil. And I'm going, no, they don't. That's why Trump's there.
Let me ask you a question.
Because people are just pissed off at this crap.
If Trump is indicted and arrested, can he be a president?
I don't know.
if he's indicted in December of 2016, that's what
He
Clapper,
can't now. They need
that's
to
what
change the
Clapper
law.
Went
They
to
need to
the
change the
federal
law.
judge.
So this is what Pelosi's talking about. She goes, "We need to change the law so that
No,
we can,
listen, he
we can
wasn't a president
indict a
at the
sitting
time.
president. We can
He
arrest
wasn't
him. We
a
can whatever."
president at the time. He was a president-elect. Mr. Clapper went to a federal judge and discussed it with him. It's not what I'm saying.
Who?
Only. Mr. Clapper went to federal
Clapper.
judge and discussed with him.
Clapper was what? NSA.
DNA.
He's national.
DNA, Department of National Intelligence. He was the head of National Intelligence, all the intelligence
Okay,
agencies. Okay, so he goes to federal judge and he's discussing with the federal judge the possibility of having Mr. Trump removed from the Electoral College based on the charges that are going to be brought with him in connection with the Russiagate.
Okay.
Okay, so now you cannot just wash it off. I'm sorry, but it's not what I'm just saying. It's what you can pretty simply
God, you're
say.
killing me. You're missing my point.
Okay.
You're saying that they had a plan to do this, they're going to
Okay.
change this, they're going to vote this,
So-
and I'm going,
so listen,
yeah,
no.
so freaking what?
No,
We
listen.
don't care.
But how
That-
can you not care?
I don't.
If that president-elect cannot be a president, he can't. He can't. He's indicted. He can't.
No, I understand.
Okay.
And
so
America
now-
go, oh, okay.
No, wait. But Americans say, okay, he cannot
Damn,
be
we're
the
that
president.
close. We almost
Okay,
had him, you know.
Okay, no, but Americans has, okay, we voted for that guy. We didn't vote it for Pence. Or we didn't vote, we voted for Clinton. We didn't vote it for Kane.
But it's a law. They did it right. They filled out the
I
right
understand.
paperwork.
What I'm trying to say is, if Americans are presented with that, but remember what was going on in November. Mr. Soros had organized all these anti-Trump demonstrations.
Sure.
Okay.
He went to him.
Okay,
know.
I understand.
He was at the
Okay,
inauguration
I
in Washington,
understand.
D.C.,
I
standing over there,
marched.
pussy
I
party,
understand.
or whatever.
understand.
We've been
But
covering this forever.
Remember all those leaks from the Brennan and CIA about
Yeah,
the
still happening.
Okay, but that was in November before before Mr. Trump was inaugurated. So if just think about it, hypothetically, if Mr. Trump is indicted
Yep.
and Americans are presented with the choice. Okay, so now there is an electoral college. An electoral college will not conclusively vote for Mr. Kane because simple fact that they you laughing.
Because you're killing. Go finish your point.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it just doesn't matter. You're thinking that the president of the United States, one, is my president, like I give a crap, you know, and that somehow this federal government, if you move all the pieces and you fill out all the right paperwork and you get the, like, you go through and we're going to need to vote this and
then
they
what
indict.
will the scope
This is
of the
exactly
document?
how they think. I know this is how they think. You are absolutely correct. They sit there and they did the flow chart and they got a big whiteboard.
But that's what their
with
plan was. I'm not trying to tell you.
and I'm
that
saying
happened.
they could do all
I
of
understand.
that, and the American people go, I guess I'm not voting anymore, or I don't care, or bite me, or I'm going to move to this country, or I'm not paying this tax. To think that they're just going to sit there, and they don't have to go
They're
to
not gonna
Washington
sit
and take
there.
over the marble monuments. All of a sudden, woo! Now I'm in charge of the marble monuments.
answer
I go,
that question.
America is not a place.
I
It's a
understand.
concept.
I understand.
All right.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the people like Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Obama wasn't seriously interplaying that?
Oh,
if they
dead
had a
serious.
chance? Okay.
And we were making fun of it the whole freaking time.
I understand.
Dead
But-
serious.
But when
they
the
thought they were
people-
going to get some.
Okay. That's all I'm trying to say.
And all I'm trying to say is these big, giant, massive nations, how they're going to control the world, the power to do that is slipping away. They don't have all the eyeballs and ears on all the network television anymore. They don't have all the radio stations anymore. They don't have all the newspapers anymore. They don't have all the publishers of books and the magazines anymore. They go no.
They have all the radio stations that they have. You represent the 1% minority.
It's always the minority.
Okay.
I'm not saying a majority is going to solve it. I'm just saying a significant enough minority is going to go, F you, I live in the Philippines now.
Okay, all I'm trying to say is, you laughing now, but don't you think that could be a serious threat?
To what?
To Mr. Trump or Mrs. Clinton.
Okay. And I'm supposed to care because...
All I'm trying to say, could it be a serious
Absolutely.
threat? Okay, if it could be a serious threat.
See,
could it
you're
be a
saying the threat is them doing it, and I'm saying the threat to them would be them doing it.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
understand. I understand. I understand. That's why Mr. Rogers immediately picked up a plane and went to Mr. Trump when he read my thing, because he, out of all the people, realized that that's a lunacy what they was doing. But that was a lunacy.
That doesn't
was
mean
going,
they weren't going to try and do it.
Yeah, but that was a lunacy that was going. That was going to try to do
They're
it.
they're being pretty loony right now.
Okay, so that's all I'm trying to say.
No, I'm not saying that this isn't, wasn't on their whiteboard.
Okay.
Of course it was. Or 15 gazillion things like this.
Okay.
They're not going to let it go. But I'm going, this is like, the sense of urgency of, oh my God, they're going to take down my president that I elected, that we get. I'm going, if you guys still think voting makes a difference, you haven't been paying attention. Of course, they're going to do exactly what they're still trying to do it right now. Yeah. And what's going to be their success story? They're going to win what? The pensions. This is what this is all about. It's about the big, giant, humongous stacks of cash that's laying around, and what else can we get? And it's all gone. So when this goes, you're going to have a tsunami that's going to wipe all this crap off of the board. It's going to be American states that are going to have to stand up on their own or not. The federal government is going to what? We don't have any money. We're just going to be printing up. They're going to do the same thing the Soviet Union did. And that tank guy that's sitting there asked to go fire on his people, he's going, yeah, you haven't paid me in a month, screw you. Now, I don't want to do it anyway. So what do with the Chinese guy to Tiananmen Square? They bring in the tank. They learned from, Russia. They said, no. We need to be bringing these guys from province way to hell over there. Hell, I didn't want them speaking Mandarin. We just speak, you kind of look Chinese a little bit, So this is, in America, there's going to be they're going to have civil freaking war. And we got Antifa over here, coming in and beating it up with the Proud Boys and their Ku Klux Klan and whatever as they arrive on the same bus. I'm going, it's all a game. We know it's a game. Now, did you get a cramp?
Yep.
I have my effect. So this is to me, I understand, but when you talk to a anarchist libertarian that's like, seriously, that you're confused with somebody that cares, and go, but you'll lose America. I go, which one? Which one are you talking about? I've had me and Frank go on about this for years. He's going, America is Trump right now. Damn it.
And I'm going simplify our debates, but it's okay.
So my thing is that as Putin would look at and go,
Putin look at it very simple.
Yeah, he goes, Western culture is going to kill itself.
But if they're going to try that plan, what's going to happen on the world markets next day?
I don't know. Make my silver worth more?
Okay. No, just think about it. If they're going to go,
yeah, it's going to get terrible. There's no stopping it.
So if next day after that, China will start to drop $2 trillion of American treasuries, what's going to happen after that?
Bad stuff.
Okay. What are now? Remember what Soros did.
I'm waiting for him to do it. Hell, he probably already has.
Remember what Soros did with Bank of England. He only did it with $10 billion. Now, Putin didn't have Soros going with that. He has his own people now going with that. So, if he got everything like he plans, everything is on its points. Every broker that he has, over 3,000 in the world, on his point, doing every second whatever the orders they receive.
Common.
There's a $2 trillion of Chinese money. What's going to happen?
The gold that Putin and Xi are buying is going to be worth a lot more. That's what's going to happen.
No, there's not going to be
it's not going to be worth more.
There is not going to be dollar no more. Gold is going to be everything, but there's not going to be dollar no more.
I didn't say there would be. It's going to be worth a lot more. I didn't say in dollars.
No, it's not a lot more. It's going to be worth everything because that's only.
What the hell you think we've been talking about for years on this show?
Okay.
This is coming. There is no fixing it. It's gonna happen in some little coup thing. It's gonna happen financial thing. It's gonna happen the assassination thing. It's gonna happen with a little civil war or Soros and doing kind of whatever thing. And the only thing that's going to save us is going to be the realization and critical thinking of a small percentage of individuals that call BS on it, come out and go, look, this is not the way what we were promised. This is what and it'll go back to fundamental first principles. It'll go back to what the proper role of government is. It'll go back to where you don't get in a bunch of debt and you don't spend other people's monies in generation for the blah, blah, blah. We're going to learn a big, giant, oh my God lesson. And how we learn that, I mean, I'm getting all kind of Orthodox Jew here and going, it's going to happen. Ain't nothing you can do about it. So we go sit back, we go and praise God, and we're going to hope that our family makes it through.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's going to happen.
Oh, hell yeah. The financial reckoning is coming. It's math. There's no getting around it.
Of course there is.
What?
How it was... Okay, you remember what was the national debt in 1980? Not a dollar-wise, but percentage of GDP.
I don't know, probably about the same.
Okay, what it was in 1990?
Probably about the same.
No.
A lot more?
No,
a lot less?
No, in 1990 we've had a surplus.
We had a surplus in the budget, not the debt.
The national...
So the Clinton surplus thing?
No, not just the surplus in the budget. We had a surplus in the budget, and the national debt was the lowest ever.
And?
So, if you do the things right economically, it can change.
Okay, I tell you, I'll give you an example. 1994, we did an Arizona initiative. We did a bunch of initiatives, had a newspaper, did a bunch of initiatives. One of the initiatives, very simple, this is all it said. If the federal debt exceeds, I think it was $4 trillion at the time, and it was double, or we said 10 trillion or 9 trillion or something like that.
Yes.
So we go, so say 10 trillion. I think it was 8 to 10 trillion, but let's say 10 trillion. If the federal debt ever hits $10 trillion, the state of Arizona secedes from the union. We put that up, and it was amazing how many people freaked. And it was all the politicos and lobbyists and came from, but you can't do it. That'll never happen. Then what do you care? You know, what are you worried about? Why you? Because we knew what was going to happen. We knew they're going to go into zillion dollars. And I'm going, so what does the state of Arizona do? What is my grandchild's owe to that? We put billboards in 9 freeway locations around here right after they did the TARP in early 09. Because I knew in 08 the economy was so bad, nobody was buying billboards. So I went in with $10,000 cash and I go, let me tell you what I want for my money. I'm going to get like a tenth of what and they go, well, we can't. I go, yeah, you say that now. Wait until December 31st and none of these contracts are renewed for the next quarter.
Oh, really?
That's exactly what happened. I go, then you go be my new best friend, aren't you? Sure as shit. When that happened, they going, yep. So then that's how we got these 9 locations. And what were they? I can show you pictures of them, but it was... it's not my debt, and it had 3 little babies with barcodes on their butts being scanned over a grocery scanner. It's not my debt. And then you have one baby in the womb. It was a fetus in the womb going, it's not my debt. How the hell? And that was my granddaughter, my first grandchild. That was 10 years ago. That when she was born in the womb, they passed the TARP. Her parents wasn't able to say, I don't want to have this, a kid with this big debt, and they put it. No, they did it while it was in the womb. The kid didn't get to have any say on it. They go, yeah, you got an extra $40,000 you owe. You got it on you, in addition to all the other crap. So I'm going, this is where our opposition is. It's just general public opinion. It's when I go, nah, and this generation thinks this and that.
Nobody cares in general public. I got news for you.
All they do when they ain't got no money.
No.
They do when it crashes. They do when they be hungry.
I'll put it about this. 10% of the people cares. 10%.
God, you think it's that many?
Yeah. Okay, 10%. So 10%. Okay.
Okay, 10%.
So you're not going to change things from that point of view.
I'm not going to change squat. The economics will.
The only change that could be done is economical changes. And the simple.
You're wrong.
Oh yeah,
No,
I'm not wrong.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
No.
Because you are wrong.
No. You can do as many laws. They never
No.
work in economics.
You're talking to guys who don't care about laws,
You're
man.
saying 10.
Laws follow culture.
You're saying 10, 15%.
Get on the mic, man.
10-15%. That's not enough to change anything. You're saying, right?
Well, that's the only thing that ever changed.
All I'm trying to say is the problem of national debt cannot be changed politically. It never will be. You can pass million laws. It never will be. It only can be changed economically.
It's either going to be
you're talking about
inflated out or repudiated. One or the other.
You can change it economically. You really can. That's what Trump is doing now. If you look,
Depends.
Well, he better get bringing down that debt.
I'm not.
The regulations, the higher GDP, that changed the debt.
Well, look, I how to do it and how much influence you need or how much people to care enough to vote. I just want to make one point, and this is maybe a little tangential to what you're saying, but it's important from history, an important point, and that is you can make massive changes with a small percentage. And our country, to speak of our country's history and what have you, the revolution was fought with only the people who were the resistance, whereas only 10%. I mean, I used to think it was like 95% and the rest were the Tories or so, and it wasn't. The majority of Americans or colonists wanted to stay the heck out. It was rabble-rousers, troublemakers like Hancock and others back in the day, and they were the small percentage that fought everything, including the political revolution, the physical revolution, and we have our country
and the building
today.
Afterwards and all the other crap.
And that was a very small percentage.
It always takes.
Well, it's an important point to make. So
no, I agree with you. But again, my disagreement with you is that I don't believe that $22 trillion or $25 trillion of national debt can be dealt with from a political point of view.
Oh, you think that's all it is?
Whatever it is.
No, this is... See, my faith in freedom. We're about freedom, not American freedom or Russian freedom or Chinese freedom or whatever. I'm just for individual liberty. Leave me aloneism. The promise made to us and all our classes, little kid in schools and pledge allegiance to and all that. The promise is that anybody can be president. See, we got a black guy up there been president. We got an orange guy been president. Everybody can be president. Okay? So we go, so I'm looking at, as a kid, as they come up with all, seeing all this, all we need is a woman, man. If we'd had, Hillary and then you got that woman thing checked off, I go, I vote Ivana, let's do that. It gets pretty blonde. But I go, might as well, what the hell, I don't care either way. So it doesn't make any difference to me. The point is that what I'm looking at is not the politicians. We've been studying sociopathic behavior a lot, and it's just you got 4 or 5% of the people are just freaking nuts in the head, or they have no empathy. I rule you because you let me, and you're too dumb to stop me, so I rule you. And this mentality gravitates towards these roles of power. So when the threat of that centralized power is going to go away, but then the Congress would disband or something, I'm like, and I'm supposed to be concerned because why? I mean, this. So I am not worried about America collapsing. But you got to define what America. To me, America is the people. And they will keep their democratic, Republican, constitutional forms of government at a state level. They would, see, if you think, well, it will be in this state. Let's put it that way.
I'll tell you. You bring another I put this half a million poor immigrants to this state, and you're gone.
Gone where?
With all your proclamations that it will be in this state.
Well, so without a government, how are they going to steal from me?
No, but you're simply going to be a minority. That's it.
See, I'm not concerned about any of this. I mean, I know I'm unique, but I'm not concerned about any of this other than general public opinion that freedom's better than not. That is because what they think is the people need to lose their illusion that this government is there to protect their individual rights. When they realize that they're not, which I think they've come to that realization, if that was to go away, fine. That's what the Declaration said. You get rid of that government and you reconstitute another one that'd be more advantageous to your freedom. I mean, that's the point. That's the mechanism. That is the mechanism.
You idealist.
Then here comes the Constitution. After the Articles of Confederation, we were just fine. But then Hamilton comes in and goes, hey, man, if we don't have this Constitution, then how are we going to tax everybody so we can fund our wars? And I'm going, well, hell, that's the reason for not doing it. I don't want to fund your wars. You guys are killing me. It's a mentality that we're up against. It's a frame of mind. And I'm going, what is America? It's like people think of it like a team or something, like it's the Pittsburgh Pirates or something. My team. Screw my team. They didn't do anything for me. What the hell? All they want is money from me. They take my stuff and they beat up my kid. Screw them.
Thomas More. You ever read him? Thomas More.
I know you're talking about, but
that's whom you're coming from.
Maybe. I like to say Lysander Spooner.
You know what he called his book? His famous book? Utopia. You're just opposite part of it.
Thomas More, wasn't he English?
He was English. He wrote a book, Utopia, about the ideal world on an island.
Yeah.
Like the first idea of a socialism. You're just on an opposite receiving part of that book. That's all.
I'm a pirate. I got my own pirate spaceship.
Socialism and anarchy, libertarianism are almost flip sides.
Yeah, you're just on an opposite part of it. Yeah,
but they're similar.
You're just on
No, they're similar in that. I give you an example. We go to when I was covering doing radio. I was down at in Crawford, Texas, at Baby Bush's ranch. Okay, when they had Camp Casey and all that stuff was going on, and they have their little socialist, house of peace there, and they're doing little socialist and all these different blogs like Raw Story and Common Cause and Daily Cause and Common Dreams or whatever. All these guys are starting to form around on Move On, and I could see what was going on. They go to Cindy Sheehan. They said, "You say phased withdrawal instead of this immediate withdrawal thing, or we pull all our support from you." She goes, "Nope. Immediate withdrawal. Boom. All the support came from. So you go high enough on the top of the pyramid, the all-seeing-eye controls both the left and the right. It's all the same people. For the same reasons, doing the same thing. I've seen it a gazillion times. I don't care. Okay? So what's my commonality with these people? Well, some of the young communists, they come up, they knew I was a libertarian. They're going, well, yeah, you're really a libertarian. You don't get it. You don't have... And I'm going, get what? Well, in a communal living, I go, yeah, there's a lot of libertarians live in communes. And the guy that was heading the House of Peace there, the head activist, he goes, yeah, I've lived on communes with libertarians before, and all they look at me, what? What are you? I go, yeah, if it's voluntary, you can be all communist all you want. I don't care. They're called families, tribes, whatever. Go out in the forest. That is what's libertarian and how we can overlap with the anarchist of, be socialist, because voluntary socialism is a family. Okay?
Never works.
I know, and that's the point. And I go, but as long as I can leave and I can take my stuff with me, I'm good. And they go, and then the kid looked right at me and he was dead serious. And he goes, but then it wouldn't work. And I go, I think we're done here. And I just turned around and walked off and just left the crowd of a dozen guys there. Let them think about it. I'm going, wow, you kind of made my point, So, yes, I understand. But our whole thing, our credo is voluntary. It is all, and when Jefferson did the Declaration of Independence, he initially wanted to have the unanimous consent of the governed. And I think it was Franklin talked about it. Goes, you're never going to get unanimous. He goes, yeah, you get unanimous down to the individual. I guarantee you that. I'd be unanimously. I think you shouldn't be taking my crap. I voted unanimously on that. So this concept is what I'm fighting for. How they do it, when they did the Constitution, the power to regulate commerce, the power to war, the power to tax, the power to eminent domain. I was shit. Why don't they just call him king? What's the freaking difference? And that was the point that they were making. Patrick Henry and Thomas Paine making these arguments. They're going, look, let me tell you what happens. When you have the three branches of government, you got the separation of powers, you have the executive, legislative, and judicial, and they're lined up against the individual, then what? You find yourself in a free speech zone that's constitutional. That's what happens. So I'm not for that. I am for something that was supposed to promise me that it gave me in the future in my family. And that is, leave me aloneism. I get to do whatever. So when you talk, the Congress is going to take away America, and they're going to do this, and I'm going, one, you're confusing me with someone that gives a shit what they do. That is the point. That what they're doing, it's always a degree of how bad they are. They're going to do this thing. What, this thing wasn't bad enough? No, but they're going to do a extra bad thing. And I'm going, so freedom good, government bad. No. Freedom good government. Bad. I mean, how many times I got to say bad? How many things they got to do? Well, they've been trying to they've taken all the guns away. They've taken all your retirement away. They're forcing in all kinds of, taxation and every little thing ever. We have a story on Freedom's Phoenix today. It says people spend more in taxes than they do on health care, food, and housing combined. Yes. And I'm going, at what point is this broke? Well, it has to go so it can be rebuilt. Putin's coming in going, yep, we're going to rebuild it in the model of I have no idea, don't care. I see the chance for America and for the American people. The people. Everybody's trying to save the ship of state. It's like the Titanic's going to, let's save the ship, and they just screw the people. They don't even think of the people. It's always about the ship of state. Screw the ship of state. What about the people? That's what I'm worried about. And every evidence that I have is that I don't need Putin's help or anybody else. That this collective system is what is attacking me. And anybody that thinks they can get in control of it, they can bribe their way, they can get the Epstein sex tapes of you going to vote whatever the hell I want you to. I'm going, you know what the problem is? The problem is the system. The problem is the fact that they even have the power to do this stuff. That's the problem.
You read my stuff. You read about Epstein, huh?
I read about what?
Epstein.
God, it's all the same thing. These guys are all the same. It's all part of the same control grid that they have, and they're using our own government against us to do it. Whether they're foreign or domestic, they're using the system that they Let's put it this way. I didn't write any of those laws. I didn't vote on how they're going to take my money and spend it and redistribute and do it. I didn't do that. Do you think they set up this system to benefit me? Hell no. So I'm going to do, what am I looking at? So what are you bringing to the table? You're going, look, man, this system that you have, it's under threat, and from a powerful guy that knows what's up, and the Soviet, and the Russian, is it even Federation anymore? Whatever, Russia. You said you got the Russian leader, man, he's a powerful guy, and he's ruthless, and he was KGB, and he knows what's up, and he has this sense of righteous indignation against the West, and he is motivated, and he has a lot of support. Oh, and by the way, he's doing military exercises with China, okay? Just an FYI, And we got the continent of Africa just sitting there. China's taking, care of that business there. We have a retired lieutenant colonel from the Pentagon that was head of AfricaCom, in the North Africa and all that kind of stuff. She goes, yeah, let me tell you what's up. So I'm going, and they started an AmericaCon, So I'm going, I get it. I understand all of it. It's all machinations, and you think the biggest threat, and you're trying to project onto me that I'm supposed to be as incensed, concerned, and fearful of the future of this country because somebody's going to take over the government. And I'm going, you're confusing me with someone that thinks the government represents America. I don't.
I'm not trying to say somebody's going to take over the government. What I'm trying to say
I'm saying philosophy already has.
I'm trying to say is somebody's going to try to take over American way of life. And that's different.
I think it already has.
Okay.
Okay. See, so when you say American way of life, they're going to take over my American way of life. Define that. What do you mean by that? What is that?
If a lot of people can read your emails and listen to your conversations, this is where I'm coming from. I consciously make sure that all my emails, all my conversation, all my text, all my travel plans, my conversation with you now, have been monitored. It's difficult.
I have no doubt in my mind of mine as a political activist, I go in knowing that everything is not read, it is available to be read.
Yeah, but it's difficult to live your life knowing that it's read. Not available, knowing that it's read. It's difficult, trust me, it's difficult to live your life that you're constantly under the glass.
Gee, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay? No, it is difficult. See, one thing is thinking that the government has a tool to do that, another thing is knowing. But the fact that it is a reality of life is definitely already taken away the American way of life. And it's the first step. and it is a reality of life, and it is the first step.
And the solution is what? What's the solution that you think is...
The solution is for people to understand what's going on.
And then what?
If they understand, then they make changes. They revolt. Not
I'm
with the
saying
guns.
exactly the same
Not-
thing,
not-
but
not
I'm
with
not
the
saying they're
guns.
going to make the changes that you think they should, which is what? Go vote harder or something? I mean, what are you saying?
It's not just voting harder. You can get rid of all those laws. You can, if there's going to be enough public opinion to shut down all those, although. Look at it this way: it was created to protect America, and it's used now by Russia against America. What's going on there?
See, this is exactly where you and I, shift. You're saying America created these surveillance thing to save America. No, they didn't.
They didn't.
9/11 came
That's
and they
how
went,
they saw it.
woo, we're going to get everything we want.
Yeah.
And I'm going, the problem is not, whether somebody's attacking America. I'm worried about America attacking me. This is what I'm concerned with. And you're going, they're going to take over this thing that's attacking you. And I'm going, okay, it'd be their problem now. I mean, I'm not even sure what you're saying.
Well, that's
I'm going to
the first
protect
part.
America.
That's
What?
the first
Congress?
Part. That's the first
President?
part.
What am I
That's
protecting?
No, that's the first part. Is this the second part? Is the fact that we have a foreign country is dictating our foreign policies.
You mean like we do like the rest of the planet?
Well, it's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. See, I'm not so myopic to sit there and say it's like, oh my God, they're doing to us what we did to everybody for the past half century or 200. I mean, it's just it's so hypocritical. And I understand your concern in this. I think this is very interesting. I'm glad that we got it up and we had this conversation. I think there are a lot of people, like, I don't know, Dr. Frank may have some evening reading, but, there's some people that's going to be very interested in this and your chronology as you saw what happened. I agree with you. It's just that whenever I interview a lot of people, I do 15 hours a week, at least, in addition to all the extra time and stuff we do. And what happens is when somebody has something to say and they're passionate about it, I want to give them the opportunity to say it, because there's been a bunch of times that I've been wanting to say, where do I say? And then there'd be some media outlet or I'd create one or something. We get to have a say. I want to have my say. And I created this platform for people like you to get to have this kind of say and to be able to document it, to have it up there. You're willing to put it up, have your information up there. I'm willing to put it up. The thing is that in the end, after all this, all the people that have written the books, that do the movies, that come on this show, therefore, I have made a case of why you, Ernie, should really care about this thing and go out and do it and fund this right there. Get off your ass and do what I want you to do, because if you don't, you're too dumb. Okay? And I'm going, I got a whole bunch of stuff I want you to do for me. How about that? No, mine's most important. And I'm going, okay, why is it important? Because they're coming after and doing whatever America. And I'm going, yeah, but what if I don't give a crap? What if I'm more concerned? Where is all of this and how it affects the individuals that are subjected to the tyranny of all these governments? All their machinations, all their wars, all their fighting, all their manipulations, all their infiltrations, all that. I'm like, peace. I'm over here and I got chickens, okay? So then you talk, well, that's not good. Well, it was good enough for Orthodox Jews to sit there and wait for it to happen without guns. Why isn't it good enough for me? See my point?
I see your point. You're not going to hear it from me. I'm appreciative what you're doing already. The thing that you probably didn't, if you actually tomorrow you probably don't gonna post the actual chapters of that book that I'm writing.
It's up.
It's not up yet. No, the
Oh,
actual.
she told her not to?
No, it's not up yet. It's gonna be tomorrow. The chapters of the book, certain emails I need to delete, and the chapters of the book, there are certain things that I need to delete, just because it's not time yet. But if you actually read it, you will see that I'm talking probably 80% of what you're talking. I'm not talking about just Putin. I'm talking about the push by the world intelligence communities to take away everybody's freedom, and that is a big problem that I see.
Okay, so that is what your conclusion is that Putin is helping with the demise of the United States, and this may be because the Democrats, if they knew what he was doing and they were supportive of this, that's how they go. He's colluding with Russia because we were going to, and now he's not doing it with us, so he is, and kind of blame thing again, But this, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I wanted to look and see if his stuff was up here. You had a question? You had something you want to say?
Oh, well, I have to get going, but I'm going to get going. Before I go, I just have one last yes or no question for you here.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
It's been great chatting with you. Placebo, right? Is that what they say? Donald Trump.
Yeah, a bunch of the documents are up. I just want you to know a lot of these documents are up here. Okay? All right.
So Donald Trump, golf course and hotel on the Gaza Strip, yes or no?
I can care less.
Okay, because he's talking about it.
Well, I'm looking for that resort in North Korea, man. They had nice beaches there.
Would you go golf there? Would you go golf there?
I don't golf, but
Boris, we're gonna let this
have a steak there. So
okay, because I want to say goodbye to Frank here and so on. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, but there's a lot of information. I want the audience to know that he put forth a lot of he's predicted and said and he's gotten what for, and I'm going okay. I'm not even questioning any of this. That's not my point. It's that when you start getting into what it means or what it would mean to the American people or how it will impact the geopolitical around the world, that's why these guys are so full of hubris. They think that these leaders and these politicians and these oligarchs and they think that they got a beat on everything. They think that their way of the old world, new world of reconstituted, regurgitated world of something is that's the way it's supposed to be, and we got the power to, and I got hypersonic missiles. I get it. What I am advocating is the power of just your opinion. When you are aware of these things and you see options that have always been available to you, to ignore them. But what do they control? How you spend your money. If you can spend your money, season your money, doing liens on your money. Well, what about your life, your health, your communications, everything? Now, what Boris doesn't know is how much time we spent on the pirate thing, and we have interplanetary file sharing, and that we have immutable data that can stay there and forever and always, and this will never go away. So when you come to me and you say, hey, Ernie, man, I want you to delete, I go, too late, okay? That's the disadvantage of what we do. When we put something up, it never goes down. So you just got to get over it. But that's also a solution to a lot of this stuff. So for me, I'm way more optimistic about the future because there's a gazillion of these conspiracies. And assuming they're all true, what's our salvation? It's each other. It's family. It's down local, which is coming. Will it get messy first? Probably. It's going to, probably. I anticipate it. But in the end, we are always working for my grandchildren's future. And they're young, so we got a little bit of time. But it is serious. Boris, Gelfand, thanks for coming on. I know there's a lot more.
Thank you for having me.
I know there's a lot more.
Hey, Boris, I know there's a lot there, and we'd like to have you maybe back sometime with all of this. But is there something, maybe one of these that is a prediction that maybe hasn't happened yet? You can just that's in there.
And you go, yeah, Boris said.
Soon. What do you think?
Yes, in June of this year, I have put a prediction that Warren is going to be. It wasn't a prediction. It was actually a polling that Warren is going to be a Democratic candidate. And I actually not only put a prediction, but I also Warren.
Oh.
And I also put the mechanism that she's going to be elected. Everything that's happening right now is Biden. I described over there.
So you think Warren's going to be elected this time?
No. I said she's going to be a Democratic nominee.
Oh, okay.
I also
well, that'd be your president right there.
Well,
after today,
June,
with Bernie Sanders having his heart attack,
yep.
He's done. So
no, but Bernie Sanders never had a chance, and I described over there why. He has too much of a Jewish nose for Democratic Party. I also had put over there that there was a serious discussions in Warren camp as far as to whether debate President Trump or not once she is elected.
Yeah, I saw that.
Their conclusion is, I hope that show will change it, but their conclusion is if she is ahead by 7 to 8 points, they're not going to debate because she's only going to lose 2 to 3%. If she's not debating him. If she's debating him, there is a high risk that she's going to drop all the 7 points because she has to debate him on an issues, and on issues she cannot win. So there was debating it in her camp as far as whether to debate President Trump or not. So it's not a prediction, it's not a done case, but don't be surprised if she will come out and say Donald Trump is such a low life individual. I feel a waste of time and more to that, give him a platform to debate with him, so I'm not going to debate.
I definitely can understand. I can see that. So we're not trying to make this Nostradamus show, but if you run into something like that, definitely
let us know.
Tell us, and we'll put it on. And I'll tell you, it gives more of an audience, and more people that'll get more exposure. The notes that you brought today, and ultimately, what the mission you have of trying to help this country and the American culture. I think we've discussed that as well, which is an important part. Whether it's officially the government, the Constitution, or the people,
Truth.
At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to save, and so we can get more attention. So throw some of those predictions when you find out, and maybe the lottery number. So, all right, it was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Hey,
so much.
I'm just for truth. Truth, and then we'll see where it goes. Thanks, guys. This probably got more to it. I'm glad that you guys got to share it with us. Sorry about the mic levels. We'll change mics and fix that later.